we go. All right. Well, Kufar, Akbar, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Cross of the Crescent discussion group. This is a once a week live stream show here on YouTube dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Islam and Christianity. I am your host, the Thekafir, the Kafir, Eric Thekafir, coming to you live from the cavernous depths of the Kafir cave in Dar al-Harb, Kafiristan. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is another Monday, and things have been great today. It is a beautiful day here in Kafiristan. Saturday, the entire weekend, I'm at the ball field watching the granddaughter play softball, grandson playing baseball, and it rained Saturday, miserable, and they still play softball in the rain. They looked like a bunch of drowned rats out there playing softball. And then yesterday, it was bugs galore. I mean, it was just, anyway, it's just good to get out there and just relax and do nothing but watch kids play ball. Very relaxing. Retirement is suiting me well. Okay, so today we are going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, which is the Shroud of Turin. And what prompted this topic is, number one, a David Wood video that he made. I brought it up, as a matter of fact. I have it over here somewhere. This is dated 13 dawell, I thought it was just last week, but anyway, 13 days ago, where he, in this video, what David does is he plays a clip of Gary Habermas, who is one of the, I would say, I don't say he's an expert on the Shroud, but he must be an expert in the Shroud because he's written some books on it, and his feelings and views on it. And in the end, in the aggregate, Gary says, Dr. Habermas says that I'm about 70 to 90% sure that it is authentic. And he provides all kinds of reasons for his feelings on this. And then David, at the end of this, David comes back on his video after playing about 7-8 minutes of Dr. Habermas, and he says this. This is what I'm going to focus on during the show. I'm going to give the whole presentation on the Shroud of Turin, why I believe it is the authentic burial cloth of Christ. But I'm going to play what David had to say, because I respect David Wood. I think all of us do. I mean, he's a great Christian apologist, polemicist for Islam or against Islam. But I think homeboy is just wrong here. So let me go ahead and play from here on out.
Pretty reliable. I know there are responses and claims about contamination, but the three labs dated the Shroud to between 1260 and 1390, and that lines up really well with how far back we can trace the Shroud.
Okay, so in the end, the bottom line is he believes that the carbon-14 testing that was done on the Shroud in 1988 by the Stirrup team, which was a bunch of scientists from the United States going to Turin in Italy and conducting all kinds of tests on the Shroud, taking pictures of it, doing all kinds of other scientific tests, chemical tests, getting particles off of it and testing that. And then they cut a small piece off in the top left corner of it, about 8 millimeters, not very big, and sent that out to 3 labs, and the 3 labs tested it, and the test came back to say that the Shroud was a medieval artifact dated between 1260 AD to 1390. And we're not going to go into the details of how carbon-14 testing is done. And I do agree with David on this, that carbon-14 testing is pretty reliable. It gives us a good idea of how old an artifact is that you're testing. But there's all kinds of problems with that testing that was done in 1988. And it doesn't talk about the testing that was done, the other testings that have been done to the Shroud that provide a much older date than 1260 to 1390. Does anybody have anything to offer or opine as far as what their opinion of the Shroud of Turin is right now? Does anybody, even in chat, feels like I'm talking to the wall? You guys want to talk about Trump getting shot or potentially?
Yeah, now we're talking.
I don't know much about the Shroud, so it's kind of hard to chime in. If it's not Islamic, I'm lost.
Well, I think they proved that it was burned, and so then it was repaired. So the part that they tested might have been that part that was repaired, in later centuries. And I think they have proven that it actually is as old as the time of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you're right, and you're right. So I agree, and I'm going to show that I'm going to get specific here, just in a couple minutes. But that's I agree 100%. That the weaving itself would provide recent carbon contamination to the sample that would not be considered when determining the dates in 1988. Nico, were you going to say something? I saw you was coming up on mic.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on it. They have not researched the Shroud at all, so I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on here. But once upon a time, I was actually studying to be a science teacher, top of my class in biology, was a fanatic. In fact, I was one of those students that recorded the lectures and slept with it, just, so I can not only not miss anything, but I can brainwash myself so I can learn information. That intense. Anyway, so yeah, that was a while back. So back then, carbon dated still was, valid and trusted. But since then, from what I understand, carbon dating is not a process that's completely trusted anymore, and they use other processes instead of that. But I honestly, I pretty much stopped my science career before that because I saw. Not to get off too much on a tangent, but the timeline flaws, and I got disillusioned. I went from fanatic to okay, well, I need to teach a different subject, and that's yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about the carbon-14 testing, and we're going to talk about other evidences that support or confirm the carbon-14 testing. But before we get to there, I just want to give you a good general idea what the Shroud is to begin with, so we all have a basic understanding. And of course, I have a PowerPoint for that. I know you're shut. Would you stop, Rad? Stop it. Let's see here. Stop screen. Why am I? I already have the other one up. Okay, here we go. Bada bing. All right, there we go. All right. So when I say evidence for our faith, let's just start with this premise here. Let's just what if? Just consider this. What if the Shroud of Turin is authentic? What type of ramifications does that have for Christianity?
I mean, is this an opinion thing?
Yeah, this is opinion. I'm asking you, if the Shroud of Turin is demonstrated to be the authentic burial cloth of Christ.
It means, I'm not being facetious here, and I don't want to undermine anything significant. But personally, my personal opinion, it will not affect me that much personally, basically because of all my other experiences. So,
okay. Anybody else? Nobody wants to.
Well, I kind of agree with Nicodemus. It doesn't affect me, but it is kind of neat to see what Jesus might have looked like. I kind of like that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, that part is cool. The images online is pretty neat.
Okay. When we think of evidences for Islam, I mean, we've talked about endlessly here evidences for Islam or lack thereof. I mean, listen, one of the things that the last time we did a show on the Shroud of Turin the week before was the first time I talked about the lack of evidence from Mecca. And this is like 2 years ago. It's been a while. Excuse me. There is absolutely no archaeological evidence whatsoever for a 7th century Mecca. There's none. There's nothing's there. And so what that does to Islam is if it's a thinking man's philosophy, a thinking man's religion, one that is supported by corroborating evidences such as archaeology, manuscript evidences, past cartological evidences that support the existence of Mecca, somebody putting Mecca on a map, somebody mentioning Mecca in some type of manuscript, somebody mentioning the Qurayshi tribe, or something along that line, demonstrating outside of your Siri, your Hadith literature, all that crap, then you would have something to support your religion with. Christianity, on the other hand, not only do we have an embarrassment of riches when it starts to come for manuscript evidence for the Bible. I mean, it's just forget about that. But the stories within the Bible are supported by other historical facts, historical archaeological evidences. This one, when we think about the cornerstone of our faith is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And I was listening to a podcast from a priest who is an instructor at this. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. Next month, I start a course, and it's with essentially the Vatican. The Vatican is the one that provides this. It's a postgraduate certificate, is what it is, and it's a bunch of coursework that deals with shroud studies, and the guy, one of the instructors there, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had a podcast, and in this podcast, he starts delineating all of the evidences for the shroud. But how he describes the shroud is he says that the shroud is physical evidence of a supernatural event, and I thought that was brilliant. How can you provide evidence for something that just somebody coming back to life? How do you do that outside? I mean, you can have eyewitness testimony, which we have. You can have other types of testimony to that, but physical evidence to a supernatural event, that's kind of hard to come by. That's, as a matter of fact, something that happened 2,000 years ago. That's almost impossible to come by. So when we think of the Shroud of Turin, if it is what it says it is, claims to be, the burial cloth of Christ, embedded within the shroud itself is evidence, I'm convinced, evidence of the supernatural event of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, what could that? How is that evidenced in the shroud? Let's take a look and see what the shroud is first, and then we can turn around and look at these evidences, plural, that are provided. Why did it do that? Would you stop? Here we go. All right. Number one, we have I already discussed. We have manuscript evidence of the Bible. We have extra biblical sources that support the biblical account. We have geographical evidences where people's places, names all line up with the Bible. I was alluding to this. I guess I forgot I had this slide. Sorry. Of course, we have special creation, ex nihil fit type stuff. From nothing comes. The abiogenesis just does not. Life does not come from non-life. And then you have what do they call that? The universe is finely tuned. I can't remember what it's called. Then you have archaeological, historical evidence, but the physical evidence for the resurrection. This is something I am convinced. This is something that God would do. When you start thinking about all the miraculous things that God has done throughout all of Scripture, the one thing, the culminating thing of his covenant with mankind, his new covenant, the very one thing, he leaves physical evidence for us to look at. I think that is phenomenal. And it begins when we look at the Bible. In the Bible, it describes a shroud. It describes a linen cloth. It tells us in Luke chapter 23, Joseph of Arimathea, of course, goes to Pilate, asks for the body of Jesus. And then look at right here. It says that they wrapped the body in linen. Where's my laser pointer? Come on. Amateur. Okay, wrapped it in linen. Right there in a shroud, and laid him in a tomb, cut into stone, where no one had been laid. Okay, and then in Mark 15 it says, then he brought fine linen, took him down, wrapped him in the linen, and put him in the tomb. And then John 20 says, this is after the resurrection. Peter and John run to the tomb. And he bent down and looked in, and there's strips of linen. Hey, Darcy. Darcy is not in her normal locale today. She said that she was going to be in Wisconsin, I think is what she said. And strips of linen lying there. And he saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus' head. Now, this cloth wrapped around Jesus' head, we have that too. And we'll talk about that here in just a couple minutes. Luke 24 says, but Jesus rose. Peter rose and ran to the tombs, and he saw the linen clothes by themselves. And Matthew says that Joseph took the body, wrapped it in clean linen. So all four of the Gospels mention Jesus being buried in a linen cloth. All four of them say that. And to some people, we might call that a clue. What was Jesus being buried in? A linen cloth. What type of cloth? A linen cloth. What type of cloth is the Shroud of Turin? A linen cloth. Does that automatically make the Shroud of Turin the burial cloth of Christ? No, but it doesn't disqualify it either. Okay, so this is what the shroud actually looks like. I personally have seen the shroud, and I'm going to brag about this. In the year 2000, I was stationed in Italy, and the shroud was being displayed as part of the year of Jubilee. And my family drove over to see the shroud. And we didn't have to stand in line. We walked. There was nobody there. I don't know why nobody was there on that particular day. It was cold. I remember that. Maybe the cold kept people away, but we walked. And normally you have to stand in line for an entire day in order to see this Hamajama. We walked right to the front of the line. And when you look at it, if you look, the image itself is really faint. But you can make it out if the lighting is about right. But when this photograph was taken in, I think it was 1898, maybe it was 1904. I can't remember exactly what year it was taken. It was over a century ago, and it was published. Everybody was astonished and said, "Oh my goodness! Look, are you kidding me?" And it's a negative. It's a photographic negative. It isn't even like an image that you would expect to find. As far as a negative is concerned, it's the backside of it. And the guy that took the picture of it was, well, to say the least, he was surprised. That is astonishing. The amount of definition that he was able to get from that image. Now, when we look at the shroud itself, it bears the marks of a man who has been obviously crucified. You can see the marks in the wrist. There's marks in the chest where he was run through with a spear. To narrow it down, there's marks on the head consistent with the crown of thorns being placed on him. There's marks on the ankles where the ankles were nailed to the cross. And then there's marks all over, wound marks all over the shroud that can be made out. And there's also blood stains. I would also say this is a 3D image. How in the Hades do you get a 3D image on a piece of linen? And let's pretend that the dates of 1260 to 1390 are authentic. How do you get, number one, this image on a cloth like this in 1260 or 1390? And how do you make that image a negative? And, pretending that the photography, which wasn't invented, it was like 1839 was the year photography was invented, and have that image be three-dimensional. How does that happen? Yeah, that's why I'm convinced that this is a God thing, among all kinds of other things. But those two are pretty powerful. The image itself, we can see what, and like Sharon had alluded to earlier, we can see what Christ looked like, for crying out loud. I mean, it freaks people out. This is what, if you look at the image that is taken from this photograph, and you extrapolate that out, this is what Christ would have looked like. Kind of like Isa, a little bit. I'm not saying providing any type of deity status to our friend Isa, but it looks kind of like Isa. Anyway, that's crazy. But when you start looking at the amount of definition that is in this shroud itself, it's absolutely amazing. Okay, so what is the shroud? The shroud is a cloth. It's got over 3/1 herringbone weave made of flax. It's 14 feet long, 3.5 feet wide, give or take a couple inches. The stitching, it was not used in Europe, and it's completely consistent, folks. This is what, if this is a European forgery, the stitching is not consistent with a European forgery. European forgery would have had a different type of cloth. But we know that this is consistent with what was in Israel at the time, because we've excavated other cloths from Masada, which is down by the Dead Sea, from 73 AD that have this same 3/1 herringbone weave. So the stitching of the cloth is the same. This picture right here provides a insight into what that stitching looked like. Now, also this picture right here depicting the cloth not only predicts the type of weave, not only provides the type of there was fire damage done to it. I believe this shows the fire damage, but it shows how it was folded 4 times. That's what it was, 4 times. This is from 590. This picture right here. It's a little before 1260, just in case you don't know. Okay, let's talk about the carbon dates real quick. Let's just get the elephant out of the room. Before anything else, the one piece of evidence, the one dominant piece of evidence, let's make sure we understand this. There is only one piece of evidence that discredits the antiquity of the shroud. One. And that is the 1988 Strep team carbon dates, where this team traveled to Turin, Italy, and subjected the shroud, cut a piece off of the shroud, and submitted it to 3 different labs for carbon-14 testing. And these labs said that it was between 1260 and 1390. That is when this linen that they tested was made. As I said, I'm not doubting the veracity of that test. That test is measuring the parent and daughter elements of C14 isotope. C14 is a radioactive isotope, and it decays. It's a parent element to nitrogen 14 or carbon 12, one of the two. I can't remember. But when you get the ratio, of parent and daughter elements, and that will tell you how many parent elements, C14, have decayed into daughter elements, and you can use that ratio to determine how old that artifact is, simply because it's not taking in any more C14, new C14 anyway. So I think it is I don't want to say it's an end all be all, but it is a reliable way in order to test artifacts. So I'm not trying to completely discount the dates, but there's a problem here, and it's a big glaring problem. And this is what destroys David Wood's position. Now, this artifact, or this sample that they took, was taken from the corner of the shroud. It was taken from the corner of the shroud, not the middle of it, the corner of it. Now, why is that? Does any of you know why that would be problematic? Any of you would have a guess of why that would be problematic? Why would it be problematic to take a sample from the corner of the shroud instead of the middle of the shroud?
Well, I mean, the corner would be the most heavily trafficked point. Right?
Perfect. You hit the nail on the head. It's the most used part of the shroud. If you are going to hold up a piece of linen, where are you going to hold that hamajama from? Are you going to hold it in the middle and say, no, you're going to hold it at the corners. So the corners of the shroud were the part that were most used. And after you hold it up a couple 100,000 times, those corners are going to get worn, torn, wore out. So here is the problem. Here's the problem with this C14 testing. When you talk about the most handled place on the shroud, this is where it's going to be. You're going to have wear and tear. So if something like the shroud as an artifact has wear and tear to it, what do you want to do? You want to repair it. So in 2005, this guy right here, I think this is Ray Rogers here. I might be wrong on that. But one of the guys that was so proud of his science that says that this is a forgery, this is a medieval forgery. Look at the carbon dates, 1260 to 1390. He was forced to relook at a sample, and this is where this guy is crooked. But he looked at the sample that he kept of the shroud. You know, he sent the pieces out to these labs to be tested, but he kept a sample himself. And it wasn't for this guy. And the last time the first time we did a show on the Shroud of Turin, this guy right here showed up. Can you see that? Joe Marino. And I get an email from this guy. He sends out a mass email about twice a week, giving you shroud updates. And he wrote this big, thick Hamajama book on this, on the testing of the shroud. And him and his wife were looking at it. His wife, unfortunately, died of, I think she died of cancer a number of years ago. But when she was looking at it, she said something didn't look right in the pictures that Barry Schwartz, who was the photographer, who also had just died of cancer this past spring, as a matter of fact. If you go to shroud.com, that was his website. Barry Schwartz was the photographer. Jewish guy, great guy. A little out there, kind of a hippie. Anyway, not that hippies are all bad. But anyway, she noticed that there was a difference in the weaving. And they kept pestering, or they kept publishing things out there on the internet, because you get anything out there on the internet. And Ray Rogers caught a wind of this, and he got upset. Let's just put it that way. And Ray Rogers was dying of cancer at this time also. So what does he do? He gets out the microscope and he looks, and he discovers, listen to what he discovers. He discovers that very corner from which they cut the sample to test in the 3 different laboratories, excuse me, he discovered in a peer-reviewed paper, and I have it right here. Do I have it right here? He says in the paper, in the abstract, where'd it go? Where do I have this? No, I don't have it there. I had the abstract up for a very specific. Is this it? Yes, here it is. Let's see here. In peer-reviewed article, shortly before his death, Ray Rogers, chemist, Los Angeles collaboration, examined the shroud, decisively refuted in 1978, decisively refuted the 1988 carbon dating of the shroud that indicated the cloth's origin between 1260 and 1390. His work showed that the single sample used for the dating and excised from the corner shroud was actually taken from a restored, are you listening to this? A restored and not original part of the cloth. And what that means is that this part of the cloth was restored, it was repaired, and it was not flax. It was, I believe it was cotton or something like that. So when you go to, if you start weaving, and this is what, I can't remember, it's like a French weave or something. I can't remember what they call the type of weaving. It's a very intricate, very expensive way to repair things. But when you introduce recent carbon, which would have been, if it would have been repaired at a certain time, you introduce that into an old sample, and now you have two different. You have let's say you have a sample from 2000 that is 2,000 years old, and then you have parts that are maybe, let's say, 400 years old. You're going to get an anomalous ratio of parent and daughter isotopes in C14. That you're going to have because what you're doing is you're introducing more recent C14, which is going to make the artifact appear newer when you do the testing. And that's what he found. So when we start talking about the one piece of evidence that David Wood is basing his 20 to 30% assumption on, and he says that, and then that corroborates the earliest attestation of the cloth, historical account of the cloth. There you go. Well, if the one part of it is completely erroneous, how can you count on the second part of it and corroborating the second part of it? So the first part of it is completely erroneous. Why? And then one of the guys that was on the team that went over there in 1988, he is the one that debunked that. It wasn't Joe Marino. Joe Marino found it, but he's not the scientist who published, peer-reviewed, published the article debunking the 1988 dates. So when we start talking about, is the Shroud of Turin authentic? The one piece of evidence that demonstrates that it's not has been debunked. So what do you do now? Well, now you start looking at other pieces of evidence that would support its authenticity. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get into it. I haven't been looking at chat. Sorry. Reboot piece. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's go back.
Eric, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you now.
So, a couple things though. Nicodemus, you said that you were going to study science and biology and become a science teacher or whatever.
Hey, nobody's perfect, man. Don't hold it against me.
Okay. No, that's close. If I recall, back in the day, especially when this carbon was being done in the 1980s, they said carbon dating could only go back like 750 years or something like that, right? Or 1,000 years.
No.
But now they're saying that it can go back millions of years. They're saying.
No, it cannot.
So what's true? So what's the deal here? What's the age?
Carbon dating, Brad. Carbon dating. The maximum age that you can get. Okay, carbon dating is looking at the ratio between C14, which is the parent element, and C14, which is the daughter, what it decays back into. It throws off a proton or a neutron or what, I can't remember exactly how it goes. The half-life, meaning like, let's say you start with 1,000 C14 atoms. In 5,730 years, you should have 500. That's called a half-life. So half of them will decay back down into the daughter element. In another 5,730 years, you should have 250. In another 5,730 years, you should have 125. So as you can see, what you start with eventually decays down into almost zero, where you can't detect. About the maximum age of C14, about the maximum, the outer limit of that is probably 7 or 8 half-lives. You get out to maybe 50,000 years tops. Some people say you can go out to 100,000 years. And if you go out to 100,000 years, you're talking about only having, 1 or 2 parent elements there in order to give you that number. And who's to say that wouldn't have been, that's just one atom, for Pete's sake. So not one atom, one element in the sample. So the maximum age that you can date something reliably would probably around 30,000 years, reliably. You can get it out to 50,000 years, but anything past 50,000 years, you're really, for C14 dating, it's really kind of a guessing game after that.
Yeah. See, I was going to answer that question, but it's such an easy question. I just figured I'd let you have it, Eric. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Well, all right. Brad, does that help you out? I mean, where were you going with that? Red. He's probably out there on the.
No, I was just wondering because they seem to give different information. That's all. But thanks for the explanation. But anyway, continue on.
All right. Okay. Let's go back to it. So like I said, if you introduce more recent cotton, I mean, forget the fact that it wasn't even the same type of it wasn't flax. It was cotton. I'm fairly certain it was even a different type of weave or material that went into it. But they also colored it, so you had a difference in the coloration. But when you introduce that, it's going to throw off the ratio of the parent-daughter elements, and once it throws off that ratio, then you're not going to have an accurate date. But what they don't want to talk about is that in 1982, it was carbon dated to between 30 and 70 AD. And then in 2013, there was a piece that was carbon dated between 300 BC to 400 AD. I can't remember where I got that information. That doesn't sound right. I'm going to have to relook that. Maybe I got that out of Joe's book here. I can't remember where I got that. But that seems like too big of a stretch, because that's 2000. That's a 700-year difference there. But anyway, I do know this is accurate. 1982, you have carbon dates between 30 and 70 AD, which is it puts it right at where it should be. Now, when you look at the image of the shroud itself, the image is only on the most outer fibers of the cloth. It does not penetrate into the threads or any other part of the weaving. And here's what I mean. If you have a thread that is on the outside, because number one, the cloth is made up of threads, of course, and then the threads have fibers within them. These fibers, you only find the image on the outermost fibers. You do not have any penetration into it. You don't have very little penetration into the thread itself. It's only on the outermost fibers, and it's only on those fibers on the shroud that would have touched the body. How do you explain that? How can you get that type of meticulous, how would I even phrase that? How can you get that, can you discolor the outermost fibers of a piece of thread in the weave?
Pick me.
Go ahead. Explain.
No, I think I'm going to spoil it. I don't want to do a spoiler.
No, go ahead. All
right. My guess is that like a flash image, maybe. Okay,
we're talking about either the year 1260 to 1390, if the C14 1988 C14 dates are correct, or 2,000 years ago, which I think it is how old it is. The other evidence points to that age. How do you get that using that type of technology that existed at that time?
Fair enough.
But I agree. We're gonna get what some people have. You see, you can't again. We're talking about physical evidence for a supernatural event. That's what I think the shroud is. It's physical evidence for a supernatural event. If it's physical evidence for a supernatural event, this is exactly what you would expect to find, because people believe that the radiation burst out of the body and discolored to such brightness. I mean, it had to be like a flash. And you're right, you did spoil it, but you did give us a warning that it was a spoiler alert. They believe that there was a flash of radiation that came out and caused this discoloration. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I do. I spoil things. My bad.
No, it's okay. No, I don't. I would prefer people interact here instead of me having to run my mouth the whole time. Okay, when we look at the shroud itself, here's what we find that is consistent with what the Gospels tell us. What the shroud shows right here, folks. What the shroud shows is completely consistent with what is in the Gospels. It shows that there is facial injuries. There's swelling where he was struck in the face. Blood stains caused by something sharp being pushed into his head. And when we talk about a crown of thorns, folks, a lot of people get like the Jesus of Nazareth, where he has this like headband type crown. We're talking about a crown that was like a literal, like a helmet pushed down on his head, and it covers the entire head. You have injuries on the shoulders where you had this. They said there's more scratches on the right shoulder where the cross would have been carried versus the other one. And then, of course, in the back shoulders, you have the rubbing that would have occurred. Then you have elliptical wounds on the right side of the chest where you have the spear would have been thrust through. Their bones do not look like they were broken, which is important. Most people who were crucified had their legs broken. We've talked spoken several times on the show that the reason why they broke the legs is because people who died on the cross did not bleed out; they suffocated. Is what they did, because they couldn't push up anymore, because you would just hang there, and it would put too much pressure on your chest, and you couldn't exhale, and you would suffocate. So, in order to hurry up the process or speed up the process, you would break the legs, and if you break the legs, you can't push up. You'll die. The knees look like he fell several times as he was carrying the cross. You have puncture wounds on the wrists and the feet, and you also have excessive wounds across the body. When we talk about excessive wounds, these are the whipping marks. So again, here you have the crown of thorns on the head. You have wounds on the hands and feet. You can see there and there. Let's see here. The whipping marks, when we talk about 233 different marks on the shroud. So you have all kinds of indicators that this was the man who was crucified here is the same that is described in the Bible. Because in the Bible, I mean, how many other people had a crown of thorns put on their head and were crucified? I mean, you just don't have that. You talk about a wound being in the side. How many people have that? And then legs not being broken. Again, all of this is completely consistent with somebody that is being crucified in the manner in which Christ was crucified. Not everybody has the crown of thorns. Not everybody has the spear thrust in the side, and they don't have their legs intact. Their legs, breaking the legs is to ensure that the person's dead. If they're just hanging there and you're not sure if they're dead, you break their legs and they're still not pushing themselves up, you know that they're dead. And that was just a way to do it. They didn't. This one body here in the shroud does not show that. So when we look at the physical evidence and compare that to the Gospels, the shroud is completely consistent with the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and it sets this crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The shroud sets this crucifixion of Jesus Christ specifically that you would not have in other crucifixions. So it differentiates that. That's why it's a great indicator. It's the shroud of Jesus Christ. This piece of evidence right here, it doesn't specifically say the Shroud of Turin. Why? Because it wasn't in Turin at this time. It was, the shroud is thought to have been in Constantinople for a period of time, thought to be in Edessa for a period of time. Something that would have, let's also, I forgot to bring this part up. Think of this. Let's pretend you're Peter or John or one of the disciples, period. All right. And you're hanging out with Jesus for 3 years. And Jesus says, I'm going to be crucified and I'm going to rise again from the dead. You see him crucified, and then you see him alive again. And when you go to the tomb, don't you think somebody is going to collect up that cloth, that linen? Don't you think that somebody is going to, and not just to say that, okay, look, it has this image on it. No, not right away. But after a while, after the ascension, after Pentecost, and you're out preaching this, and you're looking at this, somebody keeps this cloth. This is 20 years after. This is 20 years after the crucifixion and the resurrection. And you have a writing here where this king of Edessa washes himself or wipes his face with this cloth and is healed. I think he had leprosy or something like that. But this King Adgar, well, this is, again, historical evidence that supports the first century cloth. Even though it doesn't say specifically a shroud, it doesn't say specifically, but it does say a cloth with the image. Pretty powerful evidence, I would say. When you look at the ecclesiastical histories, and this is in 590, it says that the people in Edessa have a cloth with a divine image on it, or it's of a divine origin because it has an image of a man on there. What they believe, this is 590, had an image of Christ on there. So that's historical evidence that supports that. You have the Acts of Thaddeus. This is the 6th century. He says that the cloth is a tetraplin, meaning that it's folded 4 times. Well, this is what we saw in that drawing earlier. So this would show, or this would be consistent with what we have in the Shroud of Turin. How many cloths are folded 4 ways? Well, I don't know. But again, this does not, it includes this piece of cloth because it is folded 4 times. I can't remember what they call it, but they used to refer to the cloth that was folded 4 times, something like that. I can't remember exactly. There are tetraplin 4 monks in the shroud. Yeah, I can't remember what to say that. Then you got 943. This is where you have the Byzantine emperor. He sends an army of 80,000 soldiers to go after the Muslim city of Edessa. And I think something that says take the image of Edessa. Now, this is where the shroud was supposed to have existed. So the image of Edessa is, what else is it referring to? I don't know. But this, if it's referring to the shroud, it corroborates that. And then this is where it was sent to Constantinople. And then when it arrives in Constantinople, this is 945. Now notice these dates. These are all prior to 1260. All of these dates debunk the C14 dates in 1260 to 1390. And here you have a narration of the image of Edessa describes a private viewing. There's a private viewing of Constantine VII. And then it's also confirmed, this private viewing is also confirmed by the writings of this monk, Simeon Magister Metaphrasis, or whatever his name is. Here, I mean, again, more historical writings describing what is, when this is being observed. And then you have 958. Again, this is centuries prior to 1260. Constantine, in a letter, says the sacred linens, the Sidion, the shroud which God wore, and other symbols of Immaculate Passion. So this is, I think this was in they were doing an inventory of relics, because we all know in the Middle Ages, people used to love their relics. And this would have most definitely been one of those things that you put in your, oh, here's the one with the relic. Here's the relic one. This is 1201. Now, I notice the date here. This is 50 years prior to the earliest date that the shroud could have been, according to the C14 dates. It is in a relic collection, the burial Sidions of the shrouds of Christ. I mean, that's very, very strong evidence, folks. Very strong. And then 1204, you have Crusaders. This is where the Crusades started, 1095 to 1270. So you have a Crusader knight. Robert de Clary wrote Sidions, in which our Lord had been wrapped, was displayed every Friday. They're talking about displaying the shroud every Friday until 1204. I'd say that's pretty powerful evidence. I don't know, maybe somebody should forward this video to our friend David Wood. See if maybe it changes his mind. And okay, I was wrong. I said it was 595. I was wrong. This is a Budapest National Library. Again, this is a Hungarian prayer manuscript dated 1192 to 1195. It shows an illustration of Christ's burial. They're preparing the body for the burial, and it depicts the same herringbone reeve, the 3/1 herringbone reeve, as the shroud, plus 4 holes near the edges. These were burn holes, and this gives credence to the shroud being folded, number one, in 4 layers, but also it's bearing the burn holes prior to 1290. And then you have all kinds of other art evidences. And what I mean by art evidences, there was like a change, and I can't remember exactly when it was, but they talk about how Christ is presented in art, specifically Byzantine art, because it's like in the 6th century, where it changes almost overnight, where there's a part in the hair that is evidenced in the shroud, and then there's the beard, and there is something else that you would expect to be consistent with the shroud. So what the shroud image presents is reflected in the almost overnight change in the art. And I think it was when, well, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was like in the 5th or 6th century. It was fairly early. Now, there's other ways to test the date of the shroud. It isn't just C14. This one, the lignin test, this, I can't remember how exactly this works, but it tests the linen. It would decay. The linen, you would have it would decay into vanillin, kind of like how you have a parent element C14, daughter element, nitrogen 14 or C12 or whatever it is. Here you have the linen, and then the vanillin, what linen decays into, and there's a set amount of time, just like there is for the radioactive isotope of, what was it, 5,730 years. Here you have the same thing going on. And if the shroud would have been this old, it would possess 37% vanillin, but it doesn't. No section of the shroud tested positive for vanillin, meaning it was completely gone. And this would be completely consistent with the age of the shroud, meaning that it's at least 1,300 years old and could be as old as 3,000 years old. So this would not fit the 1260 date, I guess. Let's see, was dyed to match, the corner of his die didn't match the shroud, and that type of dye was not used in the first century. And then you have infrared spectroscopy. Let's see, how do you say the spectroscopy? And that looks at the chemical bonds in the molecules, and you look at this through using infrared absorption spectrum. And then you have Raman spectroscopy. There we go, spectroscopy. That's how you pronounce it. And you use the same premise, but it uses light. And both these tests give averages dates between 33 BC plus or minus 250 years. So there's different ways to scientifically date the shroud outside of C14. And both of these, all three of these methodologies here confirm an older date that's consistent with the, I didn't have this up there, did I? Why didn't somebody say something? Dude. Go back here. You got the linen dates. Good night. And then you have the infrared spectroscopy, Raman spectroscopy, given those dates. Then you have the blood evidence. The blood evidence is very compelling. You have, it's AB is the blood type. And the AB is a rare blood type. It's not really completely rare, but it's actually pretty prominent among Jews, to be honest with you. I'm not saying it's the most common blood type around Jews, but it's more common among Jews than it is most other people. Then it's also on the Sudarium of Oviedo, which is the face cloth, which is in Spain at this time. Now the Sudarium of Oviedo does not have a superficial image like the Shroud of Turin does. However, the blood type on the Sudarium is the same as on the shroud itself. Oh, here it is. Okay, only 3% of the population has AB positive, both blood location of shroud and face. Oh, and the locations of the blood marks on the shroud and the Sudarium are completely consistent with one another. They match up. In other words, they match up. So if you can show that the Sudarium of Oviedo is older than 1290 and is consistent with the shroud, you have a link here that also debunks that 1260 age. And the Sudarium of Oviedo is dated. We have a historical date, confirmed historical dates of 570 AD. This is also very compelling. There's limestone that is on the shroud. There's dirt particles of limestone that is on the shroud. The limestone itself is the type of limestone that is found on the shroud is only consistent with the type of limestone that we find in Israel. Let me say that again, just so we understand. There is dirt that's found on the shroud, and in this dirt there's limestone. The limestone you can type limestones. I guess I wasn't unaware of this, and so I did this slideshow. But you can, like back home in Iowa, we have limestone everywhere. Most churches, all these beautiful Catholic churches back home are built out of limestone. Beautiful. But there's different types of limestones. And the limestone that we find on the shroud is organic only to Israel. There's pollens, 22 different types of pollens that are found on the shroud itself. 22 that are only, let's see here, 22 different pollens indigenous and unique to Constantinople. There it is, 7 that are only found to plants in Israel. So if you follow the historical trail of the shroud itself, it goes from Israel to Edessa to Constantinople, and then it goes from Constantinople. I'm not sure where it goes. I think it goes to France, and then it goes to Turin, Italy. I think that's the route. I'm fairly certain that's the route it plays. But you find these pollens in the shroud that are only consistent with what we find. 7 of them, 7 different ones that are only found in Israel. And then the rest you find in Constantinople, which follows the historical trail of the shroud. Now, this one right here, the coins that they claim they can pick up on the shroud from Tiberius Caesar, and then they're misprinted. So they're saying, well, that's we know it's a forgery because they're misprinted. But we found coins that are misprinted that are completely consistent with the misprinting, believe it or not, which is mind-blowing. This is what is really scary stuff right here. VP8 analyzers or imagers, they're used to create 3D images from photographs. Like the moon, or one the military uses doing BDA, bomb damage assist, I guess these. Excuse me, to do bomb damage assessment. So they developed 3D images from photographs. Folks, the cloth, they ran the cloth through a VP8 analyzer, and it produces a 3D image on a piece of cloth. How do you get, number one, how do you get this image on the cloth, just on the outermost fibers of the threads in the weave, and then get a 3D image to boot with that? Can somebody explain to me how you can do this, or how this happens? If you cannot, then again, you're denying not only the history but the science behind it. And here's the Sudarium of Oviedo. This is thought to be the headcloth of Christ. It's located in Spain, brought to Spain in the 7th century. And both the shroud and the headcloth match up identically, and they both have the limestone dust found only in Israel on there. I don't know how you can come to any other conclusion to say that the shroud is not as old as it is. Okay, here are the conclusions. Number one, there's scripture support. Most importantly, there's scripture support for the shroud existing. The disciples would have preserved something like this. You have to be almost, when you live with somebody like Christ for as long as they did, and saw the things that they did, and then lived the rest of their lives in the way that they did, all of them going to their death, proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ, they would most certainly do something like this. And subsequent members of the church would go out of their way to preserve this cloth also. The image on the shroud is completely consistent with what the flogging, the crucifixion, and the burial of Jesus would have looked like. Here is probably one of the most compelling things for me. There are no processes in the Middle Ages that could have produced this image. But even with that, there are no processes even today, with the amount of technology that we have today, that can produce this either. Folks, this is the most studied artifact in the history of mankind. And people have tried to replicate it hundreds, thousands of different ways from Sunday, and nobody has been able to do it. I don't know how you can deny that. There is indeed, contrary to what David said in his video, there is extensive historical evidence supporting the historicity of the shroud that goes clear back to the 1st century. There is art history, like I said, that this is something. Just to let you know, in 2 weeks, I think I'm going back on Lloyd de Jong's show, and we're going to discuss the shroud. And one of the things that I need to work on, get a tighter shot group on, is that art history and how the art history or the art of depicting Jesus Christ just changes on a dime. And that's all contingent upon a known location of where the cloth was. So the history is a really compelling part. The art history of it is really compelling. When we look at the scientific and physical evidence for the shroud, using other testing methodologies clearly show that the shroud is older, much older than 1230, and using the other ones, it's consistent with what the Bible says that the shroud is. So we do have other testing methods that we've used to demonstrate the antiquity of the shroud. And the one and only evidence that says that the shroud is not as old as it is has been debunked, because it's been shown to have recent carbon in it. And let me say this about carbon-14 testing also, by the way. Carbon-14 testing is not used to establish the date of an artifact. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but it's not used to establish the date. When you send artifacts in to be tested, when you send not artifacts, specimens in to be tested, you accompany that with to the labs. You accompany that with a complete write-up of what you think it is, the artifact is, and how old you believe that the artifact should be. Not just to guess wildly. They don't do blind tests because of the expense and all this, that, and the other. But it's only used to confirm. So the testing dates, the carbon-14 testing dates of 1988, if they were true, would not confirm the date of the shroud being that old. It would disprove that the shroud was as old as it said it would. And that's why they were so widely touted. And I would say there's one more other piece of evidence there. Well, one more thing about those testing dates. I'm not exactly sure how this goes, and I'm sure I'm going to be learning this once I get into this program next month, is that there was something about the funding that went along with it. Somebody got a bucket load of money in funding after the testing dates were released. And I'm not exactly sure how that goes. And as a matter of fact, let me put that down there. I'm going to put funding and art for Lloyd's show. I'm going to put this. So if you guys want to know what that is, what the details of that are, go to Lloyd's show when I do that next month. All right, let's go back to this, and then shroud bears the image of And when we think of what we see on the shroud itself, it's. And I remember my son when we went to see this when we were in Italy, and it was just so beautiful. He was, he probably would have been, this would have been 2000. He would have been 12, maybe 13. Just, he wasn't very old, but I remember in the car when we were driving back, he says, that's the closest we're going to be to Christ in this world. And I thought, how observant of a statement that was. Because when you think about, in this world anyway, when you think about, it's something that Jesus touched, something that Jesus did. Like when I went to Israel, that was just so moving, some of the places that we went. The Via della Rosa, going down the Via della Rosa, they're taking that road that it's thought that Christ took during his passion, or going to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and, going to Golgotha there within the church, or doing all these. When you go to places like this, they really, it isn't a form of idolatry. I don't believe it's a form of idolatry to go to places like this, because what it does is it focuses your faith, and it really shows you. I mean, look at the shroud itself. It really shows you the price that is paid for our sin. And when we think of that, and we look at the shroud and the suffering that Christ went through, this is just a reminder of how terrible it is in the eyes of God, how terrible sin is. And again, this is a supernatural, or a physical evidence of a supernatural event that God himself performed for our benefit and not others. Okay. That's all I got on the shroud. Does anybody have any comments or any questions or any statements that they would like to?
Yeah. So you're gonna. So it looks like you're gonna become a Catholic now because you're taking lessons from Catholic priests.
You see, I was biting my tongue. I didn't want to kill the moment, but all right.
He's crossing the Tiber River there. He's going to Rome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start calling him Pope Eric now.
I had this that conversation that topic came up when I talked to my pastor about this. And he goes, "Do you think it's real?" I said, "Yeah, I think it's real." He goes, "Really?" So when you get around Protestants, or especially Baptists. And this is one of the things that I've talked about this several times before. Baptists are the worst for Catholic bashing. They really are. When I was a Lutheran, you wouldn't really bash the they didn't bash the Catholics. They just we had disagreements with them and we minted them. But you get around some I'm not saying all Baptists, of course. I can't make a blanket statement. That'd be kind of bigoted and what have you. But, the Baptist, when you get into Baptist churches, some of the things that are said, are not, I don't know, not cool. So I just remembered something. Check for pastor. Anyway, but no, I'm not going to become a Catholic. Brad, you don't have to worry about that.
Now that Rad killed the moment, let me throw in two things too. One, yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that got misty-eyed during his presentation, so thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, really, yeah, it's embarrassing to admit, but yeah, I mean, like when you were going over the image, and we just got through talking about, or you got through presenting how it's a photogenic copy or image, and then I'm looking at it, and then with all these details, I mean, wow, I'm looking at Jesus Christ right now. How can you not be moved by that?
I know, and it's really hard to to look at this, look at the shroud. I mean, just the knowing that nothing like this, nowhere else in the world, something like this exists. And the reason why is because nowhere at any other point in time did God raise his son from the dead for our benefit. And he provide, and then again, this is like a God thing to me. I mean, this is something God would do. He would, he said, we have the testimonies of the apostles, and that's enough right there. The Bible is enough right there in order to convince me that Jesus Christ, what he did, was who he said he was, did what he said he did, according to the scriptures. But to provide proof, to say, hey, look, you're not going to believe the eyewitness testimony of these guys. Look what I have preserved, enabled man to preserve for 2,000 years for the rest of you people. You say, oh, you're going to say that's not what it said to be. Then you go ahead and provide some. You go ahead and produce something like this. Go ahead, give it your best shot, gunfighter. I'll wait. And this is exactly something that I wouldn't say you would expect God would do, because he always does the unexpected. But this is exactly something that God would provide us with as a reminder of his power and his love for us, by providing us physical evidence of what his son went through as a payment for our sins and how terrible they are. So yeah, you can't help but get emotional when you understand what it is. And then if you make that connection of the reality of what it is. If you just think it's a forgery, then of course, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you can sit there and show me that, if I can sit there and show you that it's not a forgery, and that it is indeed what it is said to be, what does that do to your faith? What does that do to the way that you can see what Christ did for you, when you can see with physical evidence this? I mean, I think it's a game changer. For me, it is anyway. All right. Who else has something they want to add? You want something else to say there, Nico?
Yeah, I just on the back of that. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying. I don't know if it was in private chat or not. It's just, it was in private chat. Yeah, just basically how to see folks that, again, and this is coming from the person who started the stream all pessimistic and negative, like, oh, whatever, Turin, whatever. And now I'm like, but just seeing people that are in a state of disbelief, that are, and therefore robbing themselves of, these blessings. It's just painful to watch sometimes.
Right, and that's the blessed assurance that we have. That's something I always remind people at my church of. It's just that we always have this blessed assurance of our eternity, and that blessed assurance is provided by the man on that cloth. And that's, when you can sit there and show people the reality of it. So you can talk about your faith, and that's exactly what it is. It's a faith, all you want. But for somebody like me, I'm not going to take somebody's word for the Bible is true. This is why I have OCD over the thing. We're talking about our eternality. I'm gonna definitely do some research into this and make sure I'm on the right side of history. I'm on the right side of science here, and I'm on the right side of these theological arguments. And for me, the shroud itself, it's not the best evidence for our faith. But when you look at it, it makes everything so surreal. It makes, how can you, number one, how can you produce an image like that on a piece of cloth? How can you get it to be a 3D image? How can you get it to be a photographic negative, which is exactly, if it's produced by the radiation, as some scientists have proposed, how can you get it to be that 3D image that would occur? It's just, you just explain it to me. Explain how you can do that, and then maybe I'll take a look at your explanation. But until you can provide and believe me, people have for a century now tried to debunk this, and it's they have failed. They have failed miserably.
Yeah. So, and maybe someone in the chat can help you. I always butcher this. I don't know the direct quote from the scripture from New Testament, but I remember this was a while back when I read it, but I'll never forget it because it was so compelling to me. Basically, is Christ speaking to us, saying that you can blaspheme me, you can blaspheme my Father, but if you blaspheme the Holy Spirit, you are already condemned, and this is your condemnation, your own disbelief. So, and that's what, it's painful to watch, like I said, people that, again, like these militant people, these militant atheists that just go out of their way, this fox without his tail thing, I don't believe, I hate, and therefore everyone else has got to suffer like me kind of thing. It's tragic, and it's heartbreaking too.
Yeah, it is. And the people, and here's, I was talking at the beginning of the show that I got into it with a couple friends on Facebook. These are, because I have my Eric Theckerfer Facebook Eric Smith Facebook account, but then I have a real Facebook account too. And these guys, where did this lady call me today? Whoops, no, not this one. Hold on. Where did she go? Here she is. She says, you don't understand science. You can't say that, but I'm trying to explain away your lack of understanding with Christian nationalism. And, it was an argument over abortion. And everything in there, and I said, look, you can sit here and say it's a right. It's not a right. It's not a fundamental right. At least not anymore, according to the Supreme Court and their interpretation of the Constitution, Marbury versus Madison type stuff, where the Supreme Court is the ultimate authority on what the Constitution means, regardless of who's on it and who you want to be on it. But it's not a right anymore. But why don't you go ahead and describe to me, if you think it's just as a fundamental right, and this is something that all women should be able to do, why don't you describe to me the physical process involved in abortion in graphic detail? Go ahead and do that for me. And this is where she got all tiffy with me. And then I had another friend that I got, I don't know, today I just let it fly. Did I mention that earlier on the show? That I just got it kind of in a surly mood today, and let another guy that used to be a teacher friend of mine, he's still a friend. I'm not saying he's not a friend, but we got into it over taxes and Bidenomics and inflation. And anyway, okay, so we're going to call it a day. Anybody have any questions? Anything they want to add? Isa, we had a question. Somebody had a question. What was the question somebody asked us earlier about? I can't remember who it was. How's your, are you there, Isa? You were there earlier.
Are you talking about me asking you if Isa had jumped the fence and became a Muslim?
Yeah. That was good. Yeah. Yeah, we were gonna. Isa, are you there? Maybe he's not there. That's okay. Well, you know what? I'm friend with. I have his Skype, or I have a friend with him on Facebook. I'll ask him. But I think he's still working on that chaplain application. I think that's. I don't know. I hope not. But then again, Isa's Isa. All right, everybody, thank you for coming to the show. We will be back here next Monday. Maybe we can talk about the Trump assassination next Monday. Or do you guys want to?
I thought we were going to talk about the Trump assassination. But
all right, if you want to talk about it, go ahead and talk about it. Let's talk about how this guy didn't actually shoot. He didn't shoot, did he? I mean, the only people that shot was the Secret Service. Am I right on that?
They're saying he didn't, and it was the Secret Service who fired, and they missed. And he was able to get up, walk away, run away, and get into his truck and drive off and drive over to another county, which is quite shocking. It's a good thing the Secret Service fired and nobody took a shot at Trump. I mean, that is an improvement, but they still missed the dude. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to share my screen because I want y'all to understand where this is happening at, because I looked this all up. So I'm going to share my screen here. I don't know, for some reason Google's been acting up on me.
How was your kebabs, by the way? Were those
Oh my god, I'm so full, dude. I got the greatest marinade. I'm telling you this right now. It was so easy to make. So 1 cup olive oil or avocado oil. I use avocado oil.
I'm sorry I asked.
No, it really is simple. I'll share the marinade with you. You'll love it.
I know
it's everything. It's like a great dipping sauce.
Send it to me on Skype.
Well, yes. It is great. Yeah, I shouldn't give away my secrets that easily. But no, what did I do with the window? No, not from. No, why don't I do the window?
Hey, well, Rad's thinking. Can I say something?
Yep, go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
Do any of you think there might be a traitor within the Secret Service that are?
I was going to bring that up.
Okay, go for it.
Do you listen to Dan Bongino at all, Sharon?
Yeah, but I haven't lately. In about a month.
Dan Bongino is a former Secret Service agent, And I listened to him, I don't know every day, but I listened to him today. And this is what he thinks, that there might be a mole in the Secret Service. And the reason why he thinks that is because this golfing outing of Trump was off the books. Nobody was supposed to know that he was out there, let alone know that he was playing at that specific hole at that specific time, that the shooter was there. So if the shooter, I get it. The shooter was supposed to been there for I don't know how many hours prior to this, but if he was there for that long, how did the Secret Service miss this guy sitting by the fence, looking in there with the gun? And there's too many questions. So you're absolutely right, Sharon. There's somebody's thinking that.
I mean, it's the same as the first attempt. I mean, how many people tried to tell them? There's a guy.
Well, this guy is obvious. There's a lot of peculiarities with this guy, but go ahead, Brad. We'll get to those. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing. Here's my theory on this. Okay. So first of all, this is beyond incompetence. This is no longer incompetence. This is being done willfully and deliberately with malice. Now, if you go back to biblical scripture, David didn't have to kill. What's his name? Who's the Jebediah? No, was it Jebediah? Was Uriah. Yeah, David didn't have to kill Uriah, right? All he had to do was just say, hey, put him in the fiercest part of the battle, and then withdraw from him. Do you see what I'm saying, people? Can you hear me? Am I coming in okay?
Yeah. We're listening. Yeah.
Okay. So that's all you got to do. Just set it up, and you don't even have to contact anyone. No great elaborate conspiracy theories. Just keep calling Trump the worst thing since Hitler. Keep saying over and over again that he's going to destroy democracy. Keep saying, and soon you're going to trigger these left-wing fanatical nut jobs. Okay, and all you got to do is make the security around him so weak that you're going to create multiple opportunities for just some nut job to go and kill him. Now, as far as this concern about the trip being unplanned, there's a lot of golf courses in Palm Beach. He visits them all. I mean, seriously, if you see Megaforce One parked at the tarmac or parked at the airport in Miami Beach, you know Trump's in town, and you know he's a golfer. So eventually, he's going to show up at one of these golf courses, right? It's just that simple. I mean, if you ain't got nothing else better to do, all you got to do is just sit around one of them, okay? And eventually he's going to show up. But this is the golf course he was at. And I want to draw your attention here. So this is where it actually happened, was on this stretch of road. Hold on, let me make it bigger. Okay. According to reports I've seen, it was on this stretch of road. Well, let's look at this. Try it one more time. Okay. This is the stretch of road right here. Congress, okay? All right. This is the golf course, obviously. Okay, this whole thing in two sections, right? Okay. Now, I don't know if it was here or if it was on this side where it was hit. But this golf course is in the middle of town. It overlooks the shopping center, the actual county jail. Prisoners can look out at the golf course and yell. The golfers can hear the prisoners yelling and screaming at them when they got the windows open. You know what I mean? So anyway, but look at, I mean, if you take a look at it, this is all like shrubbery, okay? Like all along this line, it's nothing but shrubbery, okay? So if he had on one of them Gillian suits, and he knew, and he wasn't stupid enough to stick his rifle out, where it was seen, if this dude knew what he was doing, he could have easily sat there and waited for. He didn't even need a rifle. If he's that close, just in these bushes, and he's in a Gillian suit, and he's not moving, and there's nobody detecting him, and they don't have infrared up, you know what I mean? Drones up, because they don't have that, okay? Evidently. All he's got, he could have just walked in with the pistol. You know what I mean? Just wait for him to come, because one of these is the hole, okay?
He's not going to hit him with the pistol. Not from...
No, dude. No, where he was at. No, he was too old.
Okay, so you're saying if he had a ghillie suit.
If he had a ghillie suit, and no, because one of those is the actual hole. One of the hole 6 or whatever. All you have to do is wait there, and you're like 50 feet away. He didn't need a rifle.
Maybe so.
He just ran right out with the pistol, bah, 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 and especially if he had armor plating, like they said he did. Okay, he could take a couple shots, unless obviously the Secret Service cannot shoot straight because not only did they miss the actual shooter in Pennsylvania, did you know that? They missed him. It was the local cops that shot him that actually made the kill shot. Secret Service shot twice. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's actual video of the Secret Service shooter. This guy falls back off the roof. Not the cop crawling up on the roof, but it was the actual sniper. He takes a shot and knocks him back with his tripod, his rifle and his tripod.
Well, that doesn't mean that he missed.
No, they determined it was the actual cops that shot and killed him. It was local PD. It wasn't Secret Service. Who's
determined this?
You'll have to go and look it up. I mean, I can find it, but that's the reports that I'm hearing. Okay. It was determined that it was the local PD that shot him, and the Secret Service had missed. But yeah, this is just horrible. I mean, well, look at this one. Look at this area, dude. Here, check this out. You know what? Let me get a better shot. Let me get a better one. Let me really get in here. Hold on. Make sure I'm not sharing any information. Okay. Here. This is on the opposite side. So look at this, okay? Let me screw it in a little bit better. Okay.
What are you doing?
What, can you see this or?
Yeah, I can see you're Bluetooth and something here, or I don't know what the heck you're doing.
Oh. Hold on. Okay, I got it now.
I'm going to pipe up again.
Okay.
I just had a little comment. I was just thinking that if I had as much money as Trump had, I'd keep the Secret Service that they give me, but I would hire some more.
That's what I'm thinking. Well, that's what everybody's saying. You need to just hire private security at this point in time.
Okay.
So this is
not only have to pay for all these lawyers for all this persecution he's going through. Now you're saying that he's going to have to provide. He should buy some more. Come on, Secret Service needs to step up their game and get their act together. There are so many things wrong with not only the Pennsylvania shooting, but also this right here. When somebody gets that close to the president with a gun, you're broke. You've screwed up. And the only thing the Secret Service has going for them is the incompetency of this guy.
Exactly.
Because he didn't get a ghillie suit. He's using an AK-47, which is not an accurate weapon to begin with.
Actually, okay, so there's some correction on that. He wasn't using an AK-47. He was actually using the Dragoon sniper rifle. That's the AK-47 platform, I guess, if you will. But it's their sniper rifle, and I guess that is pretty accurate. It's a long barrel, long range, very high powered. Okay, so, but right. He didn't need it.
Fair enough. But
he didn't need it. Okay.
Standard AK-47 is not that accurate. But the Russians, they do make some more accurate rifles using that type of platform. I get it. All right.
But look at this image. So this is on the opposite side, okay, of the golf course, okay. It's on the left side, the opposite side of where it actually happened on Connor Street. So look at right here. This is one of the holes, okay? The hole is somewhere around here. Look at all this. This is the road, right? It's only like a little chain link fence. He hops that. Look at all this. Look at all that. All this in here. He had that ghillie suit on. And he knew what he was doing, and he could just wait there. And then when Trump comes up, he's got a clear shot. You just walk up to him. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. That's why I asked you. You should see if you can contact some of your ex-Army buddies and see if they know any actual real snipers, which I'm sure you do. I don't know if you know them personally, but I knew one, a Marine sniper. Went to high school with him, And when he was telling me, he's like, yeah, dude, we go out there and we just sit in our perch and we'll sit there for days. It's like they will pee themselves. There's actually a scene in American Sniper where the dude, the one guy, where they come to relieve him and he's just soaked in urine because he's pissing himself because he's just totally fixed on his little arrow. You know what I mean? His little window of opportunity. But it would have popped their head out. I mean, these dudes are hardcore. So yeah, if that dude would have just sat there, luckily he was an idiot. He was a wannabe and not a you know what I mean?
Well, when you start looking at the skill, one of the sniper skill sets is not moving. So when you have them, urinating or defecating on themselves, that's not uncommon. The problem is that when you're when you're in the hide, moving and getting circulation to your extremities. That's the problem that you start running into with not like you're saying is just you're staying completely immobile.
Well, right. No, so that's another thing. So at nighttime when the golf course is closed, nobody's there. He can move around all he wants because they're not monitoring it. Evidently.
But okay, so you're still talking about hours on end of having.
Well, that's what I'm saying. These professional snipers, that's what they do. They're trained on that.
This guy is not.
He wasn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
he wasn't, and that lucky for him. Now, here's another thing. This guy is so well politically connected. I don't know if you know this, but he was interviewed by Newsweek. He was interviewed by the New York Times. He was interviewed by Axios. Yeah, you didn't know this?
No.
Let me bring this up. Let me find it here. Hold on.
I saw heard one of the interviews today. It was an old interview. He's talking about the Ukraine.
Yeah, I know. Right. He was over in Ukraine and he was a recruiter of some sort. He appeared in some type of video. I saw that, but I did not.
Yeah, he's posing with Wesley. Here, let me share my screen again because we'll go through this together.
All right.
That's not what I wanted. All right, stop sharing screen. Okay. Share screen. Do that. So I'm having trouble with Google Chrome. When I click on something, there should be a drop down. It only gives me like a second to select it. Anybody else having that problem? I've updated and everything. Share screen. I had to grab it.
I use it.
All right. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
You guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, hold on. Let me pull you up someplace else.
Yeah, I seen him wearing that shirt in the interview that I heard today.
Yeah, so here is with a Biden-Harris appointee and vocal Trump credit. This dude is who is he? He's I don't know who this dude is, but he's a Biden appointee from something. That's this is idiot. Oh, this is 2 minutes of Democrats, calling for political violence. But I know I liked it. Oh, where is it? Come on. Oh, no. That's not this is what I want. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, either way, so he's interviewed by New York Times. He's calling on people to go and join the war in Ukraine. So he's a recruiter. He's actually telling these dudes, I mean, if you can't afford to make it to Ukraine, you can't come. It's like, yeah, you're recruiting mercenaries and you're telling them they got to pay their own way. Yeah, that's real encouraging there. So I don't know how many people are recruited. But think about that. Have you ever heard of that there, Eric, on recruiting mercenaries and they got to pay their own way to get there to war?
I don't think that worked out too well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, only people. Here it is. Here's the interview. Here we go.
56 from the U.S. From North Carolina. Please tell me.
You guys can hear it?
Yes, we can hear it. Play it.
Who you are and why are you here? I'm 56 from the U.S. From North Carolina originally. So live in Hawaii now. So flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook. Any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil against good. I mean, we're battling a situation here where the Ukrainians and the rest of the world are caring and kind and generous and unselfish and take care of one another. And it's just a matter of, we need to stand up for that. That is the most important thing in the world, is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united so that we feed each other and make sure that, we all move forward as one collective.
Yeah, that's why you're shooting at the president, idiot.
No, this is the funny thing, dude. So is that we're going to show the world that we're kind and we're compared and we're compassionate, and we're killing Russians. We're killing Russians.
He wants to
kill Russians because he wants to kill the president. Now think about this. Think about the insanity of this, dude. And this is what I'm talking to you. Hold on a second. Listen to me. If you really believed that Trump was Adolf Hitler, if you really believe that, or worse than Adolf Hitler, then you, I would say, would be morally justified in killing him. Would you not? The generals and the soldiers that wanted to kill Adolf Hitler, were they not morally justified in doing so? Yes, they were. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the danger by calling someone Adolf Hitler or worse than Adolf Hitler. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, you will morally justify the killing.
Here's the problem with this rhetoric, that they're always accusing the right of making. Your rhetoric is over the top. You're inciting violence. Look, it wasn't the right that's taken two attempts on Trump's life. It wasn't the right who threatened the life of who was it, Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, also encouraged by the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. It wasn't the right who had somebody go out to a ball field and shoot the minority whip, Steve Scalise. It wasn't the right that did these things. It's always the people on the left that are doing it. The problem is the left. It's not as no. Yep. This is they project their own shortcomings, their own hatreds onto those people who oppose them. That's all it has. That's just disgusting. When they start saying that the right promotes violence, they're full of crap. Right doesn't do that. It's only the left that does that. I mean, who do you think is the BLM? Do you think they're a bunch of right wingers that burn down the cities with Antifa? Are they a bunch of right wingers? No, they're a bunch of leftist pigs.
Well, so that's the thing. I looked at this. So I didn't know it was like 10 minutes in length. I don't think we'll play much more of it because it's just kind of silly. But take a look at this one. Share my screen again. Bring it up here. This is speaking of what we were talking about here, right? Oh no, that's not me. Is that me?
No,
No. Okay. Okay. Listen to this. This is 2 minutes, basically, of Democrats spewing total violence. Here we go.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after election. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I watched that shooting live, dude. On a live stream. Dude was live streaming it. That was the dude. Antifa killed a patriot, shot, wounded one other, and killed another patriot in Seattle, Washington. That was during the 2020 BLM riots over St. George Floyd, whose name shall always be remembered as giving us the opportunity to show us who sacrificed his life to bring us social justice, according to Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, she literally said words to that effect.
Hey, Red,
Trump.
Can you post the link to that one video?
Sure. Let me do it. Well, hold on.
A couple of us want it, and we're asking for it.
No problem. Let me comments.
I am confident that if Trump gets elected, that there is going to be all kinds of violence in the street, and it's not going to come from the right. If Trump loses, I don't think that there's going to. I don't think that there's going to be violence. Either way, I personally believe, and not that I'm promoting it. I'm not promoting it. I just believe that there's going to be some bloodletting at the end after this election, regardless of who's elected. But I do know for sure that there will be violence if Trump's elected, and the reason is that the left cannot stand the idea of Trump being president again, and they will do anything and everything they can to prevent it. And it's simply just going to take the courage of citizens to confront them on that, stand up to them. What is that, Red?
That's the actual link. Show up and clickable for you guys.
Put it in private chat. Put it in private chat where you can open that.
Hey, I think we'll probably see something before even the election.
You think so?
Sometime around October. Well, shoot, that's next month. Yeah.
That's like 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they've got two options, and apparently the first two attempts they failed. So they cannot allow the man to win the election.
Well, think about what they've done.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that just for a second. They spied on him to begin with when he was running. Then they went after him just as soon as he became president by going after Michael Flynn, and then coming up with the Russian dossier, the fake dossier, and the fake FISA warrants. And then they went after him for a phone call. Just think about this just for a second. He got impeached for telling Zelensky, say, hey, you might want to look at this, your Hunter Biden sitting on this Burisma board, getting the prosecutor getting fired. You might want to look at that. And he got impeached for that. And compare that to what's happening to Trump now, because they said that, that's you're exercising your influence, trying to have trying to go after a potential presidential candidate, Joe Biden. Well, then look what the hell they're doing right now, going after him full bore with the DOJ. And then after they did that, they couldn't impeach him. They tried to impeach him a second time, couldn't impeach him a second time. Then they went after him with all the lawfare crap. I mean, he's not only civil cases, He's got criminal cases at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level. And then they're going after him now since they can't put him in jail. Well, let's just kill him.
Well,
if you
have
can't
you noticed
see what's going on here, then you are a blind man. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, have you noticed that everything that they projected that Trump would do, they're actually doing?
That perfect. You're exactly. Again, it's called projection. Everything that they do, they project onto the Republican opponent, saying, "Well, they're doing it." For example, Donald Trump wants to destroy Social Security. What in the hell do you think is going to happen to Social Security once, and Medicare? Medicare and Medicaid is what I was talking about. What do you think is going to happen to that if you put all of these immigrants on Medicare and Medicaid? What do you think is going to happen to it?
Well, what do you mean? What do you think is going to happen to it? What already is happening to it? Look, remember, so Medicaid, they get grants, okay? So each city and county and state, they get grants from the government for their Medicaid bill, right? Well, if they come up with a shortfall, they've got to borrow money. So they've got to issue grants and bonds, okay, before the federal government kicks in and gives them the reimbursement. Federal government's not kicking in. Well, this is at least in Chicago. So they're taking all this money, and all of a sudden, Mayor Brandon Johnson, great socialism dream, and all this stuff he wants. They've already spent the money. The money's gone now. Okay, they have like a multi-billion-dollar deficit when actually Chicago had a surplus with all the COVID money, but they wasted it all. It's all gone. Not only that, but also high inflation. Okay, but so here's the thing, people. Here's what I see in the future. If they don't, well, okay. To be honest with you, the one thing they don't want to do is assassinate Trump, because that would mean J.D. Vance. Well, okay, hold on, let me back up. So this whole election is really Trump's to lose, and he keeps failing and he keeps losing. Okay, because dude, the hardcore MAGA supporters like myself and others, we're going to vote for him no matter what. But that's only a small percentage of, the conservative type base.
Hold on. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Hardcore MAGA supporters who supported DeSantis?
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I was. I was MAGA, and then I became MAFA. Okay? That's what I'm saying. But either way, I'm hardcore. I'm voting for him no matter what. Okay? All right? That's what I'm saying. Okay? Now then, so that's not a problem. He needs to win over those uncommitted, undecided voters, or at least not do something totally outrageous where you can keep them at home. Where if they were going to vote for Harris, that they would stay home. Okay, and he keeps just really screwing up. Okay, and seriously, this should not be such a tight race. This should not be.
There's no reason why this should even be close.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't think it's close, man. I think we're being lied to. Remember, Hillary was 90% when she was running against Trump. I'm not buying all of this. It's close. That's just BS. That's just BS.
We have to play it like it's close.
Will stay home. We got this in the bag.
Well, that's the thing. We have to play it like it's close. Okay, but either way. Point being is this, okay? It is still his to lose, and they need to tighten the ship up, okay? But here's what I foresee.
Tighten up. I mean, you were complaining about the debate last week. You wanted to do something on the.
Yeah, I can show you exactly where he failed. No. Okay, let me put it this way. It was a push. It should have been a knockout of the park. It should have been a total Trump victory. But instead, he did get played by Kamala. I mean, my crowd size is bigger than yours. First of all, what she's saying about the crowd size is totally wrong. My crowd, you know what I mean? What the hell are you talking about? Nobody cares. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I said. But that's what he spent most of his time talking about.
No, he didn't.
What he should have been. No, I'm sorry. In that question, that response to the question. Instead, he should have focused on the rejoiner and said, no, what are you talking about? Listen, the thing is on immigration. Okay? Blah, blah, blah. But I'll get into that later. Maybe we'll do a live stream on that later. But I want to get back to honestly, if they assassinate Trump, okay, that would be the worst thing for them because everybody would vote for J.D. Vance. You know what I mean? It would just be that simple. Okay. Because he would become then the presumptive nominee, and then he would pick a VP, hopefully a DeSantis or somebody like that. But anyway, so that would be actually the worst thing for them. Okay. Now then, here's what I foresee happening. I foresee, okay, that when he wins, let's say when he wins the election, so it's November 5th. When he wins the election, after November 5th, two things could happen. Well, one, actually, that crazy New York judge will sentence Donald Trump to at least a minimum of 4 years in prison to be reprimanded immediately. Because no one is above the law. So that means he will be taken into custody, thrown in jail for at least 4 years, okay, all right, in a New York penitentiary, okay, on November 20th, right? Kamala Harris, because she's the one who certifies the votes. She's the VP. She certifies the votes. She will then sit there and declare that all votes, all delegates, or all delegates for Trump, okay, all electoral college votes for Trump, are now null and void since he is a convicted felon now serving time, and a president cannot serve time. She would declare it null and void. She would declare the election null and void. And that's another thing, because there will be violence in the street, as you say. Guess what? Then they will arrest, okay, using the Patriot Act and other tools. They will use the DOJ, and they will go arrest just enough radical, MAGA, extremist Republican congressmen and senators and throw them in jail to upset the majority, the limited majority. Actually, they probably have to arrest 3 people: Jim Jones, Matt Gaetz, and one other. Just arrested Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Hey, hold on a second.
What?
When did Jim Jones become a congressman? I thought he Kool-Aid himself.
No,
Jim Jordan. Yeah, but
Jim Jordan.
Brad,
Hold on. Let me finish. Yeah, Jim Jordan. Okay, so no, you take your pick. You can do Marjorie Taylor Greene. You can do Matt Gaetz. Jim Jordan.
Bro, that would be Civil War right there.
Well, this is what I'm talking about here. No, hold on. Let me finish. This is how quickly this will be spread. Okay. All right. So they arrest like 3 or 4. Okay. Detain them. Call for a consensus vote. They issue what is called an enabling act, just like they did. Okay. Because now there's violence in the street. Biden or Harris, who is our president, declares martial law. They pass an enabling act. Bada bing, bada boom. And all of a sudden, Kamala Harris is Führer. Die Führer. For life. I foresee that happening. Do not get me wrong. I really foresee that happening. I actually have dreams on that, and it wakes me up at night, and it terrifies me. Okay? No, because it will be that simple. It will be that simple. Then you can say, well, we got all our guns. You don't think that the Department of Justice doesn't know who you are? Are we organized? No, Eric, military man. You need organizations, you need cells, you need all kinds of stuff, okay, to fight this kind of things. They'll just come and arrest you, and if you fight back, this is another right-wing extremist. I thought they were for law and order. Look at them shoot at the police coming to arrest him. See how that works? It's really that simple.
You're just talking about organization itself. There are enough encrypted applications out there, social media applications, where that really wouldn't be.
Dude, they already have that infiltrated.
Whatever. If something like that happens, trust me, it's not. It'd be way too bloody. There would be too many people rising up, and too many. I mean, if the people in the military that would have to enforce it, you don't think that there's people in the military that wouldn't see that would say, no, I ain't doing this.
Eric, they've already been purged.
No, I can tell you they have not all been purged with a great amount of certainty. They have not all have been purged. A great many maybe, And there might be a different mindset today, but they know. Look, no.
I mean, how many vets do we have? What, 14 million vets? Probably now more since a lot of them left.
No, we don't actually. The number of veterans, and it's less than 1% of the population serving the military. Well, I guess that'd be like 3 million vets.
Really?
Yeah. The number of people.
Somewhere was like 14 million vets.
He's talking. He's talking retired, frequently de-enlisted.
Yeah, retired.
I don't know. I don't. There's just not a lot. There's not as many as.
But anyway,
put it that way.
I am telling you, watch for it, and it will be quick, and it will be all of a sudden like, oh my God, this just happened. Oh my God, they arrested, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, blah blah blah. Bada bing, they're arresting all kinds of people all over the place. Okay, da da da. Oh my no, but the media will play it. They'll be like, oh my God, they just went to this. They went to Eric's house to arrest him and take his guns and throw him in jail, and he had a shootout with the police. Not that you would. But I'm just saying, because he's a right-wing conspiracy guy. He has the show called The Cross and the Crescent, which is an Islamophobic show. See that? I mean, do you see how this works?
Getting fired from the club. Quick. You might retire.
Yes. No, but I'm telling you, I could see that. No, seriously, that is a very real possibility. But what I really do think what will happen is that Trump will lose. Because, well, they will cheat again.
I was just going to say that. They're going to cheat.
You know they're going to cheat.
They're smiling and they're so smug.
That's going to happen. I mean, you know it. But here's, okay, you say Trump is going to lose. You're the guy that thought DeSantis was going to win. And I tried to tell you to relax.
Well, I did, but then he blew it, and then his total campaign, no, seriously, I mean, disintegrated immediately.
Did he win?
Huh? No, but he should have stayed in it longer. He should have stayed in it longer, and it disintegrated.
Really?
His whole campaign was flawed. Seriously, he should have won. If he would have had competent people.
Phobia has it right. The polling is Trump always over produces what the poll says. He always overperforms. There's the word I'm looking for. Overperforms the polls by 4%. So if everything's tied right now, he's gonna, because I mean, if you say, "Oh, you're gonna vote for Trump," and you're talking to some TV reporter or somebody that you think is gonna, out you or something.
What's scaring me most of all is Florida. Well, no, actually, no, 4.3. Okay, so that's good. No, that wasn't one.
Somebody said Iowa would play.
What's that?
Somebody, I was reading an article, I don't know, yesterday, the day before, said Iowa's now in play or something like that, which I find.
So the one that's scaring me is Arizona was a lock when Biden was running. No, literally, he was leading by 2.3. Now he's only leading by 0.7. Again, that's well within the margin of cheating. But Arizona, that's 0.8.
Trump always outperforms.
Okay. All right. Again, remember, margin of cheating. No, it's not the margin of error. It's the margin of cheating.
I did.
Okay, let me explain this how this works.
He always outperforms the polls. He always outperforms the polls. Relax. It's going to be okay.
I'll tell you what. If they stop the election, let's say in the swing states, then they're definitely cheating.
Well, that's what they're going to do.
The only way they're going to cheat is they need to first figure out how many ballots do we need to produce.
Bingo.
So if they stop it, and I don't think people are going to put up with that. If they stop it,
not twice in a row. Not twice in a row.
I mean,
not going to be able to drive those. I mean, anyway. I don't want
to. See that's actually the Chicago model. So to back up, we'll end on this. This is what you need to look out for. All of a sudden, they slow the count. Okay. In other words, Trump is leading with 98% of the vote counted, and he's leading by like 0.1% or whatever. And all of a sudden, they stop the count, or they slow the count. because then they're figuring out, remember, they only need a few hundred votes here, a few hundred votes there. Take away 50 votes here, this county, this municipality. And then wins, Biden wins by just enough to not trigger a recount. And that's what
Brad.
Yes.
Okay, you got to eat. I need to. I'm hungry. I want to. Can we go?
Dude, you need to prepare better for these shows, dude. You need to come with a ham sandwich, chips.
I ate them all. I must have eaten them.
I will
I'll
say
send you.
that. Go ahead, Rad.
No, go ahead. What are you gonna say, Dr. Kufa?
No, I was just going to say, I will say that one thing that I do believe that the Republicans fail is when it comes to economic metrics.
Yep.
Trump could have destroyed Kamala.
Exactly.
On that,
well,
because I can follow
Eric,
the numbers. I have the numbers, and
Eric, since I have the admin controls, I can shut down the stream. You can go and eat and come back. We can continue talking. No, I'm serious. You co-host. Go get your food.
Can I jump in like
Okay. We're continuing. Go ahead.
Yeah, like last week before this second assassination attempt, I showed a half-finished short. So it's completed. I just posted it today, and I know I'm sharing it like crazy. I'm trying to get it out there. Do you guys mind if I show the completed version to kind of redeem myself? Because seeing just a half-finished product was probably a head-scratcher.
I guess that's if Rad can give you the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
can you
sorry, I stepped away real quick. Sorry about that. Yeah, so yeah, we'll share the screen. Give me a second to get resituated here. I do give me a bottle of water here. All right, hold on here.
Yeah, make sure you drink it sitting down. You know.
Okay. Share screen. There you go.
Yeah, and after the last video you share with us, this is going to be a little anticlimactic, but this is just
cool.
More from my sake, so appreciate it.
Go ahead, play.
All right.
The next day to be like this. One. Jesse know that happened. He getting in shape. I seen him running around the track. I said, why the you getting in shape like this? He said, because I'm going to be the first black president. I had to get speeches like this. My fellow Americans, as your president, I feel that we the people must get together and join hands. Are you watching these back here? Because I don't think they're too happy about this shit. What duty going? He won't stay still.
Yeah. That was it.
Eddie Murphy. Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. Yeah. So I don't know, brother. I just have very dark, ominous vibes on it. I'm telling you this right now. If I go to bed on November 5th? If I go to bed November 5th, where Trump is winning, Trump is declared the winner, and I wake up again, okay, only to find out that they stopped the count in 3 different states at roughly the same time, okay, and then all of a sudden those states come out and say, no, really, it's Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, I will lose my mind, okay? I will say, no, not this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I'm glad Eric mentioned it earlier. You know, again, you guys know that I'm a media guy and I'm all about the messaging and all that. And that's my concern. You know, I've been saying for a while now, and I'm not the only one apparently, that they're pushing us again to this this brink of self-destruction. You know, all these didactic things, you know, Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, Israel, this, that, and the other. It's always left, right, you know, black, white, male, female, or 52 genders or whatever it is this week. So, I mean, it's all for one purpose. It is the Willie Lynch letter, control the chaos. And so I'm
for World War III. I mean, we're that close.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we give the okay for medium-range missiles to go into Russia, it's not going to be pretty.
Well, see, that's the thing. This whole Ukraine war thing. Listen, don't get me wrong. Okay, Putin invading Ukraine, totally wrong, and the Ukrainians had every right to beat them back. The thing is, and people do not understand this. Okay, the Donbass region. Okay, in the Crimea, okay, region. Okay, was okay at the time. Okay, now okay, no more than ever. 100% ethnic Russians. Okay, they spoke Russians. They identified with being Russian. It was basically a Russian colony, if you will. Okay, or a Russian enclave. And for some bizarre reason, don't know why, the map makers in Europe after World War II, okay, carved it up and said, no, this is now part of Ukraine. Okay, do you see what I'm saying? I mean, no, they just made this stuff up. Just like after World War I, where they gave the Sudetenland, okay, which was German, okay, there were 2 million ethnic Germans. They gave it to the made-up fictional country of Czechoslovakia, okay, which were Czechs, Slovaks, and these Germans. And yes, there was persecution. Yes, there was, well, okay, you know what I mean? Persecution as in, you know what, you cannot run for office, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Okay, you know, stuff like that. Okay. So the same thing that was happening in the dumbass region and in the Crimea. They were telling people you cannot teach your children Russian. You must learn Ukraine. Okay? All right. No, there was heavy persecution. So yes, Putin did have legitimate grievances, and the Russian people had legitimate grievances, okay? But then again, because of our weak President Obama, okay, who literally said, just hand them over. Hand them over the Crimea. Hand them over the Black Sea ports. Welcome back, Eric, to your show.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
But anyway, so no, they have, okay, on the okay, so legitimate grievances, but because we had this weak president, Barack Obama, who literally told the Ukrainian president at that time, don't worry about it, don't fire a shot, literally said this, just surrender your ships, your naval vessels in the Black Sea, do not scuttle them, do not sink them, do not sabotage them, do not destroy the port, okay, in Odessa, do not do none of that, just surrender it, and we'll get it back for you because we got your back. And the fool listened to Obama. You know what I mean? And nothing happened with it. Okay? So now Putin's got Crimea.
When was it?
Oh, we're talking about what's happening in Ukraine. I'm giving basically a brief modern history, okay, or as far as I understand it. Okay. And then you got the dumbass region. I call it the dumbass region because it is. It's only dumbasses. Dumbass, yeah. Anyway, the point being is this, okay? You got another week. This didn't happen under Trump, right? Did not happen under Trump. But then you get another weak president by the name of Biden, who literally gives a speech, and they're saying, what's your red line? And he's like, well, listen, Biden actually says this. It depends on what kind of incursion he makes. If it's a big incursion, then we will deal with it. It all depends on the size of the incursion. In other words, just like Bush in 1990s gave the green light to Saddam Hussein by saying, we will not interfere. This is an internal Arabic matter or internal Arab matter. We will not interfere. He now gave the green light to Putin because he told Putin, you know, if you just do a little incursion, we won't say anything. Right? So he does the incursion. And he says, you know what? We're going to go to Kiev. Okay? He was hoping the dude would flee Kiev and then they would be able to install a puppet regime, yada, yada, and everything would be hunky-dory. But the dude stayed. So kudos to him. But either way, this is the situation we're in now. But Putin is not, oh my God, Putin's a jerk. Putin's an ass. But he's not Adolf Hitler. He is not this. No, he is not. Dude, seriously. He's been fighting Ukrainians, and evidently this dude that just tried to kill President Trump could recruit on their own dime to send over here to go fight and die and kill Russians. Okay? Right? Okay? And they could not even take Ukraine. They could not take Kyiv. They could not take Ukraine. Adolf Hitler would have been through Ukraine long by now.
No.
He'd been through Ukraine. He would have been in Poland. Oh, he would have been totally into
Right.
Germany.
That's not Putin's agenda. That was never his agenda. Trust me. If they wanted
That's
to take,
what I'm saying.
If they wanted to take it, that place would have been smithereens.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. This whole thing where they built this up that he's the second coming of Adolf Hitler. Well, the third coming of Adolf Hitler, because Donald Trump is the second coming of Adolf Hitler. Okay, obviously, clearly, everybody can see that. But Putin is the third coming of Adolf Hitler. No, seriously, this whole thing is bullshit. Sorry. No, it really is. This whole war, people are dying for stupidity. And the outcome of the war, eventually, unless we go full nuclear, okay, the outcome of this war is going to be this. Ukraine is going to surrender the dumbass region and the Crimea. And that's going to be that.
Okay, Ukraine has already lost the Crimea. They lost
right. But they were still fighting over it. I'm just saying. They're claiming it's still theirs.
No, there's no fighting over it. The Donbass region is gone too.
That's what I'm saying.
Also, I think I know what Trump's going to do, because he keeps saying I'll end this war the first day, is he's going to threaten Zelensky, and he's going to tell him look, Zelensky, not Zelensky. He's going to say, look, we're done giving you aid. Shore it up. Give up, make concessions, and get it done. And he's going to tell Putin the same thing. He goes, look, you want to end this? We're going to end it. We're going to stop supplying them. If we stop supplying them, NATO ain't going to do diddly squat. Let it go. And then take what you can with the Donbass, and we'll be done. And then that's he's right. That's all that has to be done with it.
No.
As
but
evil,
Biden, no, they were going to do this.
As evil as that sounds, the reason why they're comparing Putin to Hitler is because Hitler went in and kept taking land like he did like he did with the Sudetenland and what was the other one?
So is the Anschluss.
Make my point. The Rhine. There you go. Let me make my point here, though. Hitler went in and was taking land until he started firing shots in Poland, and that's when everybody says, "Okay, enough is enough," and then they went to war. The thing with Putin is he took the Crimea without firing a shot.
Because Obama told then President whoever, just stand down, don't do anything. Literally.
Whatever. He went in there, he got it without firing a shot. And now now that he's gone over, they're comparing him to Hitler because Hitler went into Poland. He went into, they attacked. The problem is getting it to stop until it spins out of control. And by giving Zelensky offensive weapons to launch into Russia is escalating it, continuing the killing. The Ukraine, when you start looking at how crooked countries can be, the Ukraine's the poster child. I mean, the mob that runs the Ukraine. What is the Ukraine? They make our mafia look like a bunch of schoolgirls. That's the point. They need to stop. Just stop the killing, and I think that's what Trump's going to do. Right or wrong? What are you doing? Are you eating another kebab right now in front of everybody?
No.
I had to starving to death. I'm waiting.
Well, I thought you were going to eat. Go eat. Not this. We're having a conversation. Go eat.
I had an extra. I buy those pepperoni pizzas, and then I buy extra pepperoni and let me finish. I'm talking about my cooking here. And then I buy extra pepperonis and extra mozzarella, and I put them on there. And when you get, just the store-bought frozen pizza, magnifico. with that extra pepperoni and mozzarella, because they jip you on the pepperoni and they jip you on the mozzarella. But when you add your own, it makes it a $20 pizza.
I may have to try that.
It is.
I used to do that. Now, so we got these little in Chicago. It's called Home Run Inn. Okay, they serve these little tiny pizzas. But yeah, so you buy the pepperoni, you put that on yourself. But that was before I got old, and I can't handle that, younger food no more. So now I just
You can't eat pizza?
Huh?
You can't eat pizza?
No, I can't. I can't eat pepperoni. No, that just sets me off. Forget about it. I'm just saying. Anyway, but no. So the thing. Well, no, you're absolutely right. But he wasn't doing that. Oh no. Listen. This is another thing people don't understand. NATO. Remember, we made a deal under Bush. Okay, when the Soviet Union was dissolving, about Ukraine. Ukraine had some, I don't know, I'm pulling this number out of my butt, okay? But I want to say like 20,000 nuclear weapons.
Who had 20,000?
Ukraine.
Ukraine doesn't have that.
Warheads. No, they had, when the breakup of the Soviet Union, remember, we all had
they did not have.
Well, okay, so 10,000, 5,000, whatever. They were short range. Well, they were short range, okay, and also they did have some ICBMs that could reach us, okay. But let's say 5,000, 10,000. I'll have to look that up and Google it. But either way, what are we going to do with those nuclear weapons? The Soviet Union's breaking up. We don't know which way Ukraine's going to go. So we made a deal. Ukraine, surrender your nuclear weapons, let Russia take control of them and pull them out, and we will guarantee your freedom, autonomy, okay. And we told Russia, okay, Russia, Ukraine will never join NATO. Okay? That was the deal. And now they're talking over and over again. Okay? All right? All these other countries are joining NATO, which is the biggest scam in history. Okay? Seriously, the deal on NATO, they got to buy all their weapons from us. And we give them the loans to do it. Well, not all their weapons, but a vast majority of it, a certain percentage. When you join NATO, you pledge to spend so much of your economy, and we will give you the loans to buy our weapons. Seriously. And you will also work with us to develop maybe, various weapon systems. Okay, I mean, you can develop your own jets, your own fighter planes, and we'll work with you jointly. We'll come up with stuff. But the bottom line is this: it's all about the money. Buy more of our stuff, our weapons.
Okay. In order for a country, one of the agreements in order for a country to have membership in NATO is they have to spend a certain percentage of their gross domestic product on defense.
And where do they get that defense from? From us.
No.
Yes.
Okay, whether they get the weapons from us or not is irrelevant. They have to spend a certain percentage of their gross domestic product annually on defense, whether that is fielding troops, whether that is buying guns, whether that is buying bullets, whether that's buying missiles or javelins from us. It doesn't matter. That country has to spend a certain percentage of their GDP on defense. They're not doing it. That's the problem.
I agree with you. They're not doing it. And that's where we come up with the loans and grants. So here's how this works, Eric. Okay. Well, specifically Ukraine.
If you're talking Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania.
Well, no. So these are the minor players. No. Okay. For Ukraine, let's deal with Ukraine, for instance. Although Ukraine is not a part of NATO, and it might as well be, but not officially. Okay.
I hope here's how this works. Part of NATO. That is a crooked. There are some crooked people there, and exactly. It isn't. I'm saying they don't deserve it, but they have a history of being abused by the Ruskies. I mean, you look what Stalin did to them poor people. It's just unspeakable. Right? Yeah, you have millions. Red basket of Europe, for God's sake, and they got starved out. But their country is so pathetically mafioso, for lack of a better term, that, you know, I'm not saying that they deserve it, but that's, I mean, when you operate that way, that's what you get.
Well, so here's the thing. This is okay. So this is how it works in general. We sell. Hold on, not sell. We give grants, money, aid, lend-lease, whatever you want to call it, okay, to these countries that can't spend their certain part of their GDP on weapons defense for whatever reason, because we want to keep them in. But here's how it benefits us. So we take a certain part of our budget, our debt, if you will, because that's what we're doing now. We're deficit spending, always have been. We take a certain part of our debt. We say, okay, we're going to give you $5 million or $5 billion. Yeah, let's say $5 billion to buy these weapons. We don't give them the money. We take our old stockpile of our javelins, of our weapons that have been sitting on the shelf. They're still good. They haven't passed their expiration date, but we're getting rid of them and we're selling them to the Ukrainians. Okay? And then we're taking that money and then we're telling the companies that are producing these weapons, now you can produce more because we need more. Because we've just gotten rid of our stockpile. So now you companies, you need to make more. That keeps them in business and manufacturing that certain weapon type and improving on that weapon type. So that's how we get the best and the greatest of these killing machines, these killing devices, which I, as an American, am very proud of. I want our country to have the best killing devices there are, okay, by far, over any other country, okay? I want to make sure our javelins work and blow up and kill tanks. I want to make sure our missiles hit target. I want to make sure our nukes actually work, okay? But either way, point being is it's a cyclable thing, okay? For instance, you stockpile let's say we didn't have this deal, Eric. And we produced, and we had in our stockpile, a million Javelin missiles, a million, whatever you want. It just sits there. And it will degrade over time because it has to be used. And these companies that made all this, what are they going to make? They're just going to sit there? They're going to shutter? They're going to shutter their doors? They're going to say, yeah, we're not going to make anything else. We're going to keep all the same equipment. Do you see what I'm saying? No, you have to keep that production line running. And this is the perpetual war. This is the perpetual, always perpetual war, always perpetual. It has to be continuing, just like Oceania and Asiatic. We will always be at war because it has to fuel this machine. And this is what we are seeing. And yes, it benefits the American people because those are American jobs making the highest quality weaponry system, which I am all for, brother.
But the gun that the Army's fielding?
What's that?
Have you seen the new individual weapon that the Army's fielding?
No,
So
I haven't looked at it.
All these old M16, all these old M4 carbines or whatever, they're toast. They got a new.
So yeah, they're going to something else, yeah, right?
Yeah, they're using I don't know, it's XM something. XM. I don't know. They're replacing this. They're replacing the 5.56 caliber gun, the M4 and the SAW, the M249, with like a 6.5 millimeter.
Yeah, they're
millimeter.
going back to a 308. They're going back to the longer cartridge, right?
With the heavier bullet, yeah. Well, a heavier bullet means that you carry a heavier basic load too. I mean, it's kind of a trade-off, but anyway. So, what else are we talking about?
I don't know. I'm giving you my anti.
I had something I wanted to show. Did you?
Oh no, I showed it. Yeah, it was anticlimactic, really. Especially after the last video.
I didn't see it.
It was. I sent a copy of it to you in Skype. It was that short that I shot last week that was half done. I tried to fix things by showing the completed version this week to kind of make sense of that. But I don't know if it went over so well.
Was that the Eddie Murphy thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, that video is just trying to. Basically, what I was saying earlier is just trying to demonstrate how much influence mass media has on us worldwide, to the point where people are going absolutely crazy. Like mass media Mooney was something I used in the early 2000s, well, mid 2000s, like 2005, give or take. And then lo and behold, a decade later, a guy named Trump is running for president. It looks like he's going to win. He wins. And a guy goes in front of his tower and sets himself on fire, like a Mooney would.
I wish they would all follow that example. Yes, we need to encourage that. Seriously, lefties, if you're out there, protest, set yourself on fire. Alhamdulillah, yes, do that, please.
YouTube, he's joking. He's saying that metaphorically.
Yes,
That's a metaphor.
Joking. Right, sure, yeah. I will do it.
All right.
Be glad you're not on TikTok, man. That would have been it for you right there.
Okay, let's look Dr. Kufar Phobia's stream tomorrow night. What are you doing, Dr. Kufar Phobia, again? Tell everybody that way.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the 30 Muslim arguments that the Quran is true, with refutations and sources for each one of the 30.
Okay, so the where in the Bible does Jesus say, "I'm God, worship me"? That's going to be part of it. I mean, is that one of them? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Oh, the Quran is true.
Yeah, the Quran is true. Yeah, I've been having fun with ChatGPT. To be honest with you, man, I've gotten a lot of information. I've corrected
ChatGPT. Didn't you see Apostate Prophet's channel? ChatGPT converted to Islam. It said, "MashaAllah." It took the Shahada.
Well, actually,
ChatGPT is Muslim.
It is it draws a lot of its information from the standard Islamic narrative. So if you don't know anything about Islam, Chat will put one over you. They tried to put one over me a few times, and I had to correct it. Like I told it to translate the 6612 using the earliest Islamic dictionaries, like Lisan Arabiya. And of course, it translates it, but it says, and we blew into her chastity. So I had to tell them that's not what it means. So then it corrected itself. And it said, and it said, and we blew into her vagina. I'm like, now you got it. So yeah, you have to, yeah.
Okay.
That angel Gabriel, man, he's like really keen.
Are you doing anything on 65.4?
No, I don't do that, Eric. I mean, that's so played out. And you know what happens? No matter what you showed them, right? Every live that I've seen ends up with the same thing. Oh, that was the time back then. You know, a 9-year-old was fully grown. These people don't care. Oh, America 200 years ago, the marriage age was 7 years old. I mean, it's you don't get anywhere.
It's sick. It really
exposing these people. I had one guy. Oh man, I really got pissed off at him. We don't let him in my life anymore. He was all for child marriage, and he said that the reason that the Western countries are not producing, that the birth rate is down is because we're not marrying little girls. And I'm like, how do you deal with somebody like that?
Yeah, you don't. You don't.
I mean, he was an American. I said, which one of my buddies do you want me to send over to your house? The FBI?
Send me the link and I'll see if I can get Aladdin to come.
Oh, the link to what?
Hey, is Issa here?
To show
He's getting pretty popular out there with Apostate Prophet.
I know, man. I was shocked to see him. Yeah. I was shocked to see him as a Muslim.
Well, no. No. Issa, you there?
Issa's not.
He's probably somewhere.
Probably, I don't know.
Okay, so we're going to talk about it. I'll tell you about Issa. So Issa is not a Muslim. He's not a Christian. He's not a Jew. Well, he is Jewish by blood. Okay, he's a Sephardic Jew. Okay, but either way, he's a hippy-dippy universalist. Okay, you know what I mean? He's like, all face, sorry, blah blah blah. So his version, his translation of Islam. Okay, you know, he's like, yeah, we can ignore all the violent war stuff and take that out, and we can interpret it into a modern interpretation. You know what I mean? Okay, and make it into this, you know, thing. Okay, fine, do that. Let me know how that works out for you. But no, your head will be on a pike. Okay, all right. I'm just saying you can't do that. Okay. But here's kind of fun. As an example of this, he debated David Wood. His first debate, he debated David Wood on Islam, where he gave his interpretation of Islam. And oh my God, some of our friends of the channel were just, dude, all up in arms. I told you he was an undercover Muslim. And I'm like, dude. I'm telling Issa, I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, dude, this is a bad idea. Don't do this. He said, why not? I'm like, you're not a Muslim. He said, yeah, but I'm going to portray a positive Islam. I'm like, but you're not a Muslim. Don't do this, okay? Blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, he does. I'm like, you're going to be hated by everybody. So he comes on it, and of course, everybody, you know, a bunch of people on our side are like hating on him and saying, oh my God, he's an undercover Muslim. I told you. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. All right. But now, so Kenny, our friend of the show, not a friend, Kenny Balmer, okay, who Issa had just been on his show, Kenny's show, like 2 weeks before that. It was a positive thing, right? Okay, dude, you got to get it from Issa. So after this debate, this dude Kenny totally attacks Issa. I knew you were fake. I knew you were a fraud. How dare you? No, seriously. Very violent, very bad. Actually, let me see if I can find it. No, it was, dude. It was like, I can't believe, dude. Seriously, because Issa is trying to portray Islam as this wonderful, magic, peaceful thing. And Kenny comes out and just totally attacked him. It was totally hysterical. I could have enjoyed it. I'm not going to be able to find it now. I'm going to have to find it, dude. But yeah, so Issa's a hippy dippy. Issa would be one of the dudes at the concert in outside of Gaza, the peace conference, where he would have been getting blown up and getting his head chopped off. Just saying, okay? That would have been, actually, I think we have pictures, video of Issa running from the Hamas terrorists, but I can't find that either. Actually, we need to upload that. We need to make that as a clip for Issa. You know what I'm talking about, Eric, right? That clip where the dude is running.
I'm sorry. I was reading a post from, anyway, say that again.
So Issa, remember that video I showed you? From the people running from the attack on October 7th? And there's that one dude, I swear to God, we all say that looks just like Issa.
Right. Yeah, at the festival. Right.
We need to upload that, yeah, because that would be Issa. He would be at the hippy dippy rave.
Yeah, that's kind of a free spirited young guy.
Yeah, he is. And he's super smart, and he's got all these degrees, like, yeah.
And that's somebody who spent his entire career in academia. That's and now it's time to get a real job.
Those are the worst ones. I wanted to ask him because I actually left the debate because the debate was supposed to be, is Islam true? I'm listening to the Nicene Council, Jesus divinity, and I'm like, what's the crap?
There he is.
Which debate was that between him and
the one that just took place with apostate prophet, God Logic, Issa, and Muslim apologetics that's been running for me? Dude, what happened to you guys? And the moderator, I have to say, the moderator sucked because I've been thinking of using him for debates. But if he can't control the debate topic, then what's the sense, man? I hate going to debate and the topic is XYZ, and I go listen to debate and it's everything but XYZ.
Right.
What happened, Issa? How did Jesus divinity and the Council of Nicaea and morality become part of the debate?
I didn't make that argument. didn't have to do with me. So
No. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying how did the debate go
That's
sideways?
when he showed up. He's been gone for 30 minutes. We've been talking behind the guy's back.
I'm sorry because I was in a class, so I was trying to pay attention to both, but I was in a class, so my class just.
See, he's in another class. How many classes? Seriously.
I'm always in school. I'm always in class. So it was actually a class about Israel and Palestine. Funny enough.
Dude, okay, now this dude, dude, you okay?
But I'm here, so
you
what are
need
the
to
questions?
either start teaching classes, like become a professor, or become the chaplain, join the Marines, or whatever you're going to do.
I'm
seriously, brother.
Going to the Army. Nobody goes in the Marines, Sharon. Only the Army. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm playing a joke.
I was in the Marine Corps there. Hey.
But I mean, yeah, it was weird. It was a weird space.
But so Issa, I was telling about your first debate with David Wood, okay, on the whole Muslim thing, and how Kenny Bomer how everybody attacked you, but how Kenny Bomer came out. What's that?
I'm always being attacked.
Right. But how Kenny Bomer totally came out and attacked you. It was totally funny because just like 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before this, Kenny was praising you on one of his last streams before he got exposed as the racist that he might be. But anyway, he totally. Do you have those screenshots? Because that was classic. That was all of a sudden.
I sent them all to you.
Yeah, I know, but I can't get in my Facebook.
I'll look at my email. It was not a pleasant conversation. I'll put it that way.
No, it seriously was hysterical, dude. Well, from my end of view, it was totally hysterical. I was like, really, dude? No, it was totally mean and vile. And dude, all you did was represent Islam, okay, in a positive light, right? A reinterpretation, a positive light, okay? Make it to be where Islam is not where nobody's ever said it was. But anyway, which I totally disagree with. But no, he's trying.
I don't think it's a problem. I mean, it's okay. I think free speech is good, right?
No, right. But either way, he's trying to represent Islam in a reinterpretation, right? A reimagining, a reinterpretation that, yes, all these bad things happen in Islam, but if we just reinterpret it and we go to a core thing, just believe in God, love your family, do these things, blah, 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 it's a good thing, right? You know what I mean? And Kenny, no, he's trying to make it totally positive. And Kenny comes out, how dare you? I knew all about you. You know. In other words, you were trying to rob his Islamic identity. Where it's kind of funny because Kenny's arguing that Islam is everything that you were saying it was. But yes, Kenny at the same time wants to kill adulterers, stone them to death. He actually said that. No, he actually said that. We got the recording. We got to find that. Yes, I would participate in stoning adulterers.
What I'm offering isn't a reinterpretation. I'm just saying that there's another. I'm saying that there's multifaceted. There's different variants of Islam. That's basically all I'm saying. I'm not saying that ISIS isn't a variant of Islam. It is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I can't deny.
Right.
That would be
Yeah.
disingenuous.
Yeah, I mean, the Aztecs, Aztecs, a religion, whatever you want to call it, it was multifaceted. I mean, not all Aztecs were chopping off heads and cannibalizing, human victims. I mean, others just want to live peacefully their lives and get through that and wear human skins or leopard skins or whatever. That's okay. We can do that. We can go there. But yeah, no. So anyway.
But I wanted to add some, though, because the thing is, a lot of people will say, well, Salafi Islam is true Islam. And I said, well, I think you could say, oh, wow, because they follow literally what the ahadith say and they have a literalistic interpretation of the Quran. But I said, but they don't, though. I said, if you want to grant it and say, look at, well, Sufi is goofy, okay? Sufis don't do nearly the same kind of heretical type of position if you're going to go into heresy of the argument of tahrif. If you're going to say that the Torah and the Injil are corrupted, you could say, hey, I spiritually accept them. I don't know what they mean, but you can take that position. There's a way that you can take that position if you're not a literalist. But if you try to take it, if you're saying as a literalist and you deny these texts and say they're falsehood, well, then what you do is you say, well, God is a deceiver. you can't really escape it. It's a problem. It's a and I get that when they say it's the dilemma. It's a real problem, and I grant that. That's why I didn't interest in the debate. I'm like, I'm not going to create conflict here. I said that. I mean, I agree. I actually agree with Avery and on that. I don't disagree with that. I think that if you say that the texts are corrupted, well, then you have to offer a different text. You don't have that. There is no offering of another Torah, and they can't. There is no offering for that. And I said, and then you say, well, it's spiritual and metaphorical then. And I said, okay, so all the horrible things like assaulting children and, doing all these terrible things to women and killing people who decide not to be Muslim. I said, that's all literal. But when it comes to the Torah and the Injil, it's metaphorical and spiritual. I said, what kind of grift is this? That's a grift. That's a grift. That's charlatanry. You can't come out and try to say, oh, these things are corrupted and terrible and evil and awful but then you're saying, oh, I now believe in spiritual. I said, you're the grand hypocrite. You can't say, oh, this is true. But I said, because it doesn't fit your literalistic avenue. And then you say, well, Jesus was a Muslim. And I said, okay, you're saying Jesus is a Muslim. Well, what does a Muslim mean? Well, a Muslim is a person who follows the Arkan al-Islam, which is Shahada, Salat, Zakat, Saum, fasting, and Hajj, right? This is the 5 pillars. I said, did Jesus do that? Did the big JC go and make Salat? I don't think so. I mean, so did he Zakat? No, he didn't give 2.5%. I mean, according to the Hebraic law, you're supposed to give 10%, right? So it's not that. You didn't do that. He didn't fast Ramadan. He didn't make a pilgrimage to Mecca. So, I mean, he didn't do the Shahada, like not that kind of Shahada. So, I mean, so is he a Muslim? I mean, if you're making that your definition of Muslim, you can't say he's a Muslim. That doesn't make any sense. We say, oh, Muslim's a believer. I said, oh, well, then everybody's a Christian. Everybody's a Jew.
Exactly. No, you actually did a good job. I thought it was kind of funny of dismantling this thing. But no, it was just funny, the reaction from both sides. And I remember, dude, because I was out when I was on my odyssey to Florida. And I was in actually Charleston, West Virginia, in a hotel room, and I'm messaging you. You're like, I don't understand why everybody's attacking me. I'm like, dude, I told you. Did I not tell you? What is going to happen?
I gotta say, even like it was yesterday, or the day before, people in the chat in some stream, I can't remember which, were calling you Muslim. He said, I was like, what? He's Muslim? What? So there you go.
Anyway,
I mean, the thing is, my position is that I think Muslims and Islam should have a place. I don't think it should be erased. That's my problem. It's like people are like, it's the most evil thing. Let's just erase it. I'm like, there's different variants that are here, and I think if we're living in a pluralistic society, we have to have pluralism. You could say, dude, I don't agree. Like, I think a Christian, if you're going to take a Christian apologetic against Islam, it's not very hard. You could say, look, I don't believe in Islam, even if Islam is the most beautiful, wonderful religion. I don't agree with Islam because I believe Jesus is Lord and Savior. You're done. You don't have to fight it. You could just say, look, I don't agree because I believe Jesus is my Lord and Savior. That's it. You know?
Well, no, dude, I totally kind of agree with you on that. The problem is, and this is what I see, okay? Fine, okay, this is why I hear all these Muslims that come out and they got the reinterpretation, or they got re-envisioning, reimagining, okay, whatever, put things in historical context, yada, yada, yada. We can make Islam, we just ignore the hadith, or ignore the hadith you don't like, but take the hadith that you like, okay, blah, blah, ignore the tafsirs, ignore the jurisprudence, ignore everything, okay, that's fine, okay, and make it this thing where we all just kind of get along. I got my thing, you got your thing, okay, that's fine, no problem with that. Here's the problem though, okay, well, there's two problems. One problem, okay, fine, okay, you're going to hell, and that's wrong, but okay, I can tolerate you. So you're going to hell, but we can have a beer, or I'm going to have a beer, you can have apple juice. Okay?
You'll have a virgin mocktail.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, you know what I mean? Okay, it's fine. We can go to, celebrate our kids' birthdays. No, they can't. But no, whatever, barbecue, I won't do pork.
No, I hear you. Go on.
Beef. You know what I mean? Okay, but anyway, we can do this, okay? But the problem is, okay, the second problem is, okay, is that person who's basically a pacifist, basically, I believe in this, I just want to live my life, just do this, how are they going to survive and fight on our side when they come to kill us? Because that other part of Islam, which is, even if you only say it's 1%, history has shown it only takes a small majority of a population, okay, that are extremely violent and cunning that can take over and oppress the majority of the population, okay? This has been the lesson of history throughout the world, okay, going back to the time before Rome, when it was even a republic, okay?
Sure.
All right? So if you are a pacifist and you believe this thing is this, and you're not going to go out, how are you going to defend that? I mean, seriously. I mean,
I'll give a response to that.
Let me just conclude. ISIS taught us. ISIS was a revisionary thing. So ISIS, one of the things that the Yazidis, okay, especially the Yazidis, and even the Shias, the survivors that came out of this Holocaust, this nightmare, they were coming out and they were like, these were our neighbors. These were our friends. We went to each other's weddings. Some of them were intermarried. We celebrated our kids' birthdays or kids' graduations or whatever. We had block parties and celebrations. And then all of a sudden, ISIS came. And ISIS says, if you denounce the Yazidis, you can take their property. And then all of a sudden, people we thought that were our friends.
So I have an answer to this. Okay.
Took us. But the same thing said to the Jews during Nazi Germany. This is the constant thing. But go ahead.
What's interesting, first of all, what are Yazidis? Yazidis and Baha'i, I would say, are Islamish. So these are people who believe in the Prophet Muhammad and the Quran. So are these people not Muslim? I'd say, in definition, they would be considered Muslim. Do they follow Sunni Islam? It's the same thing with Christians. Are Christians not Jews? In a sense, they would be Jews. They may not be rabbinic Jews. See, the Judaism we have now is rabbinic Judaism. So it's a variant of Judaism. It isn't just Judaism. And that's an important distinction when we're having this conversation. I wouldn't say Christians aren't Jews. I wouldn't make that distinction, because if Jesus is the king of the Jews, then wouldn't his disciples be a part of this kind of community? Whatever terminology and semantics you want to use, it doesn't really matter. So I would say Yazidis, Baha'i, or Yazidis, Baha'i, Druze, they're kind of a part of this kind of continuum as well, particularly like Druze and the Baha'i. I'm not sure if the Yazidis believe in the Prophet. I think in the Prophet of Islam, but it's I know the Druze do. But the situation is that what is this group? This is a group that are Salafis. These are Salafi Wahhabi jihadis. They're reformationists. So what they try to do is they play this game where they're like,
bingo, stop right there. They're reformationists. Key point, but continue on.
Yeah, they're reformationists in a bad way. Like they're more like regressionists, you know what I mean? So they're reforming in a regressive way, because let's be honest, let's look at the Arab community. The Arab community have been run by Turks for centuries. They've been run by Turks. Who were the Turks? They were Sufis, right? They were like Orthodox Sunni Sufis, right? That's what they were. So the Arabs have not really had any power for a very long time, since like the 13th century, like when you have like these big scholars, Arab scholars, and philosophers and all this kind of stuff. Arabs really have not had power. So this is something we have to consider.
Oh, so that's wow. No, that is profound.
So that
is very key. Yeah, no, that is profound. No, think about this. Let's put this in historical context. Okay, it was Lawrence of Arabia, an Englishman, daring, dashing, great guy. Okay, who actually he was seriously. I mean, when you read these biographies of these men,
I've read. I saw Lawrence of Arabia too. It's a great movie, also.
You know what I mean? No, these are like, oh my God, I'm all in it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're in the moment. It's great.
Oh, it's a great actor too.
Yeah, right. But anyway, he incited these tribes these Arab tribes to go and revolt against the Ottoman Empire, which allowed the British to take Jerusalem. It was totally funny. It's like, yeah, we played you.
But the situation is like going further, like if you see, you know, that red, green, black flag, the Hejaz flag. You've seen it probably. You've seen that around.
Red, green,
a lot of
black
Arab nations use this flag. This is a flag of the Arab revolt. What are Arabs predominantly? These Arabs of these Gulf states are Salafis. They're Salafi Muslims. Why? Because it's a revolt. It's not just a revolt of land. It's a revolt of religion. They believe that the Sufis were heretics, you know, and they said, they're heretics. We're telling the truth. And I'm like, why are you telling the truth? Because we're following the Hadith. We're following the Quran, literally. And I'm like, but then when it comes to the Bible and the Tanakh and the Evangelion, oh, those are corrupt. And I'm like, so is it literal or is it not? It's only literal when you want it to be literal. So you're a cafeteria. You're not your attack on Sufis is not any different than you don't actually have integrity. They don't have integrity. They just are kind of feral in a sense. It's a feral type of behavior where you're willing to kill and assault. And I'm like, that's what it is. You're just kind of giving it to barbarism. Let's call it what it is, you know? So
No, so that is the problem, okay? All right? I mean, no, seriously, it's like, look, dude, what hadith are you going to believe? Well, I believe all the hadiths that say Muhammad was, you know, a minister of peace. All three of them.
How many hadiths?
But anyway,
1,000?
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many. And then it's like,
I know.
Dr. Joshua Little's work on this. There's anachronistic hadith. We know that there's hadith that have fabrications because they're completely out of the time loop, and they are fostering, you know, kind of perspectives of.
Okay, guys. Hey, are you aware that Hannity's about to come on?
What Hannity?
Dude, again, Eric, I'm sorry. No, just let you know, you don't, Eric.
I'm going to get cut to feed here.
You're killing it, bro.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
Eric, I am an admin, okay? I can shut down the stream at any time. You don't have to be here. You can go away. Just go away.
That's not nice.
I know. But sometimes you got to tell them, no, this is an Army Sergeant Master. I forgot what his command is, but it's not Master Command Sergeant. No, seriously, it's Master. I think it's just Master Sergeant. No, seriously, that's a big deal. You can't. Okay. But no, I remember I went and visited him, and he took me a tour around the base where he's at, where he lives, and he's retired, whatever. But we're driving in restricted areas, and the MPs show up. I mean, no, they swarmed us because they're doing they're doing maneuvers at the time, and he pulls out his ID, his retirement ID, and this dude just stabs at attention and said, "Yes, Sergeant Major." Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Or whatever the command was. It was just total respect, okay? Even though he's retired, he's at total attention. He's like, I'm sorry, but you cannot be here. You have to go. You know what I mean? It was totally cool because they were going to assault a makeshift mosque. It was kind of funny. That actually part is semi-true. There was a makeshift mosque in the assault area, which is kind of funny. But anyway, let's continue on.
Makeshift mosque?
A makeshift mosque, yes. Evidently, huh?
Why was it there?
Well, no, it was a total little mini village. And the mosque, I guess, was the spot, well, he says, that was the spot you needed to avoid to pass the 101st Airborne Assault Corps. I'm thinking, no, that's the mosque. That's the part you need to go to. I'm just saying. But, you know. Anyway, let us continue in our conversation. So, yeah. But here's the thing, brother. Okay? Like I said, okay, yeah, fine. You can have this thing. You can have this kinder, gentler jihad hand. You can have this kind, you know what I mean? But again, okay, all right, those people are not going to fight.
Why?
Those people, why not? Because it's been proven time and time again. Because the pacifists, the ones that just say, I want to get along You know what I mean? No, don't get me wrong. Maybe eventually, okay, they will. Maybe they will hide. Maybe they will smuggle. I am just saying, okay, history has shown, okay,
Okay.
that
Can I jump in? Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to. It's a crude illustration, but one of recent history. In fact, in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks from now, we're going to be commemorating it, or it'll be the anniversary of the October 7th attack. And we saw exactly that, a bunch of pacifists that flew. I mean, they were being invaded, and okay, so maybe they didn't have weapons, I don't know, but I would like to think I would have reacted differently, probably would have died sooner, I don't know, but still, I mean, basically they took off running, and that did them no good. So, yeah, there you go. Where I think with Muslims is in general, even the deviants of Islam, and I'm speaking generalities. I don't know half as much about Islam as you guys do, but from what I've seen, I speculate that when the poop hits the fan, and when they have this all-out jihad, which some are calling for, even these pacifist Muslims, on the other hand, would take up arms against the kafir. Sorry?
Against, you're saying against like people who are so-called disbelievers, like that's what you're saying. Like you're saying that pacifist Muslims would fight the quote unquote kuffar. Is that what you're saying?
Well, let me give you another illustration as why I'm arguing that.
Okay.
Okay, so look at the liberals now. We were talking about earlier how these random people, let's say they're random people or whatever they are, who are setting themselves on fire. Again, the pro-Palestinian guy just recently also set himself on fire. Another libtard. Can I say that? Anyway, so my point is this media conditioning, and that's what I wanted to say earlier. And I'm sorry I'm going this, but this is extremely important. I mean, we saw in the lockdown, everyone was left, right. We followed orders, whatever media was saying, whatever the internet was saying. That's what we did, regardless of how insane it was. So, and that's what I'm saying with this stuff is that, because of the conditioning, because of the emotional triggering, those people, the pacifists, they will become suddenly more loyal to Muhammad, to their people, to their identity, and will take up arms that way.
But don't you think this is the same argument that they said against JFK as a Catholic? They're like, how could he serve the government because he is going to be, beholden to the Vatican? Like, don't you think that's a kind of a similar argument? Don't you think we should be a little bit more nuanced when we engage this?
I hear what you're saying, and to your point, there are how many people, even including in these circles, but whether it's actual ex-Muslims that are now Christian apologists or people that they're actually converting from Islam to Christianity. Yeah, there's a lot of examples where you're right. I mean, we do need to be careful and not be onerous with our approach to this problem. But again, I mean, the poop is hitting the fan. We're all being pushed to the very edge, all of us worldwide, for whatever reason, all these ethnic reasons, left, right, especially, but all these things, we're all being pushed to the very edge so we can, quote, rise up, end quote. And it just so happens that it's not just the BLM, they use the rise up moniker. Right now, the British, who are pushing back, are also using that same slogan, rise up. It just so happens. So that's my concern. It's even myself just recently, I started a series, a live stream on Eddie Murphy, one of my childhood heroes. And I was making, up until just recently, a couple months ago, I was making excuses for his recent behavior, his woke behavior in his movies.
What did he do?
Well, he's pushing, his new movies are completely woke. It's nothing but propaganda pieces, total, it's nauseating.
You didn't like Beverly Hills Cop's Axel Foley? You didn't think that was a good movie?
Well, that's 20th century. I'm talking about his recent movies, his reboots.
No, that's his newest version. I thought
Eddie Murphy's made new movies. When does that happen?
The one, there's a Netflix one where he's with his daughter and stuff. I mean, it has a little wokeness. I'm not going to lie, but I thought it preserved. It was much better than the third movie. I thought it was probably the best out of all of them. It was quite good.
Really? Okay.
The newest Axel Foley one where he's like old and he like, drives around. It preserved the identity, and I had a great time with it. But I mean, the woke stuff can be like, I work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and sometimes it's a little rough. I get it.
Are you going to see Am I a Racist?
I am going to see that. I saw Matt Walsh. He's doing the same thing that he did in Lady Ballers.
You asked. You said, do you really believe that they're going to have men that join a basketball team just to compete against women? Yeah, it's actually happened, dude. Well, not basketball.
Man, superior movie at doing that, but
what's that?
Joanna Man from the 90s. That's a superior movie than Lady Ballers. Like, Lady Ballers is too cynical. It just doesn't. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I watched half of it, and I'm like, okay, I see where this is going.
Matt Walsh was funny at it. He did his hippie thing, and that's what he's doing in this. And I get Matt Walsh has a fair critique. I understand his critique. He's like, dude, this DEI stuff is, you're being cynical with your DEI stuff. Like, you're just doing it to make a lot of money. You don't actually even care about this cause, care about equity.
That's the thing. I'm like, how do you get? No, think about that. This is all professional camera setup. This is multiple cameras, multiple angles. Okay, they're catching and good sound. They got a boom mic where they're catching everything, right? Okay, how are they doing this? Well, it turns out all they had to do was just say, "Hey, we're going to pay you $15,000," and they're like, "Yeah, okay, we'll take that."
Well,
you know what I mean?
The problem about it is because we do have gaps, but it's not. But it's deeper than that. Like, we play this game that it's okay. So, for example, this is what I feel in looking at DEI. What we do is we, first and foremost, we take this position that they say people who are of European ancestry are privileged. So if your people of European ancestry, descendants of people of European ancestry are suffering in America, well, they don't deserve to get resources because they should already have the resources, which is really problematic, and it's not doing that. And also what it does is it infantilizes people of color and saying, well, you can't make it, you can't survive. So
bingo.
So I see that as problems. These are problems where it's like, we do have economic gaps, we do have class issues, but the way to deal with these issues, we can't just, first of all, we can't generalize people. We can't say, oh, well, you're a person of European ancestry, so guess what? You should have everything. You've earned it, and if you didn't, well, that's your own fault. You should have used your privilege to make it. I'm like, that's just that's a good way of looking at it, and it doesn't an inclusion.
So here's the thing. I've been a follower, dude, hater, lover, hater all the time. Of this chick, she's actually a PhD. She's an organizational psychologist, whatever.
Oh, you didn't bring up Candace Owens. You want to bring up Candace?
No, Candace Owens. No. Candace Owens has lost her freaking mind. Candace Owens is a Frankenist. She's a Frankenist. She's molesting children and drinking their blood. No, seriously, because the Frankenists became Roman Catholics. She's a Roman Catholic. Therefore, she's a Frankenist. It's that simple.
That's actually been proven. That guy was not a really great guy. He's
no. Well, no. The funny thing is, she actually said that this dude, I don't know, whoever he is, that the idea was, I don't know, some dude in the 1900s, okay, whatever, was lynched because he was accused of raping a white girl. Whatever happened, I don't care.
Catholic, yeah.
But his name was Frank. So she said he was a Frankenist. He founded Frankenism. I know because I read a book. No, this Frankenism stuff started in the 12th century AD.
Well, and the thing is, my friend Israel Advocacy, Joseph Cohen, you've seen him. He has a red beard and he wears a kippah. I'm sure you've seen his work. He's British, but he did a whole expose on it to prove that it was false. So.
Oh yeah. Well. Anyway, bottom line, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro broke her. I'm just saying. I don't know what happened to her. But anyway, no. So the thing is, where were we going with this? I was going.
Well, let me finish my point if you guys don't mind, since you lost your train of thought.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just. I mean, really, what I'm trying to get to is just a word of warning. This is just like, again, I had to take a break from the Eddie Murphy movies. By the way, to answer your question, I didn't watch that one yet. That was coming up.
Good one.
Yeah, but I got to. I was going to do five live streams basically, and I got to 48 hours was the last one I did, the second one, and I just I heard myself speaking while I was doing that, and I was like, whoa, this is not good. I'm changing spiritually. I'm turning to the dark side, to use a movie quote. So I took a break, and it's been going. I'm on 2 months now, and I still haven't been able to get back to that series, but I will get back to it. But yeah, I mean, the point is that even if you're aware that you're being conditioned, you eventually you're going to succumb to it. So my warning is this: I mean, including, again, this is biblical. Even Christians will fall to the evil one. They will be fooled. I'm saying just be careful of all this mass media and what it's doing to it. Pay attention to the passions. How's it making you feel spiritually? If it's grounded in Christ, cool. But if it's taking you away from Christ, then it is a problem, regardless of what it is. Whether it's, whether you're sorry guys, pro-Trump, pro-Biden, pro-whatever it is, or anti-whatever it is, if it's taking you away from Christ, it's just not of God, period. That's where I stand with that. So I'm just word of warning. Be careful with all this mass media and how it affects you.
Yeah, definitely. So just remember, if MSNBC says it's a right-wing conspiracy,
yeah, exactly.
Just wait a few months. It will turn out to be true. But no, now I remember where I was going with this. So yeah, I used to be a full-time follower. Was in her locals group, joined her locals channel, her Substack and stuff like that. But Carlin Bershenko, just look her up. I can give you the link. But she has been for the last, 6 years, going deep, okay, undercover in socialism and communism. Her only problem is she attacks everyone, okay? And especially, her live streams now, her spy streams, where she infiltrates the DEI training and she infiltrates, the socialist training or the conferences. She responds to every single troll, okay? And she's attacked me multiple times, and I'm like, look, you're doing friendly fire here, okay? And I'm tired of it. No, seriously. I make a comment like, whoa.
What are you doing? We're on the same team.
No. I make a comment. I'm like, whoa, did I just hear this correctly? The Communist Organization of America has denounced the other Communist Organization of America for, sponsoring or for endorsing Kamala Harris? And she says, Radical Meyer, you've been here long enough. I told you communists are not Democrats. And I'm like, yeah, no, they are, but not all of them. Okay, so it's Bolshevik, Mensheviks. Okay, no, again. She's thinking this whole thing is this uniform thing, but that's beside the point.
You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and I think what you're saying is, hey, we got to be nuanced, and she's saying no. The entire group of people needs to be
exactly.
And I'm like, if you do that, then you could do that with any group. You could say, wow, crazy Republican. What do they call them? Nazis who are saying they're Republicans. Well, guess what? They're all Nazis. So
no, exactly. No, she goes to socialism and communists' conferences. She goes, okay. Goes undercover. She does this, okay, and she gets outed. She gets assaulted. Anyway, bottom line is this. You got to take her with the grain of salt. She hates everyone. She hates James Lindsay. She hates gays against groomers. She hates everyone, because they take her stuff and they don't give her credit, so therefore she attacks them. Okay, you know what I mean? It's just, but either way, dude, just go to her site, grab her stuff, and then go view it yourself. I am telling you, okay. This is a definite insight to this. But point I'm trying to make on this, okay, is that this DEI stuff. I know you're all into it, Issa. But by the way, Issa, Matt Walsh got his DEI certificate. How can I get? I'm a part of the crib. How can I get the DEI certificate?
I mean, there's a lot of DEI certificates. You can get them like online. I mean, you can
Really? Just get them online. Yeah.
I'll get you a DEI. I can find you a place if you want.
Okay.
But like,
Okay.
but the thing is, you've seen me. I'm pretty fair and nuanced in the way I view DEI. I don't take in this way where I'm like, you need to have shame. You need to have shame because you're a person of European ancestry. Of course not. That's insane. And I'm like, first of all, that's
but what is the point? What do you mean diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, so I'll tell you what it is to me.
Okay, tell me.
What diversity, equity, and inclusion means is that you have a multiplicity of different opinions, different ideas, different cultures, different ethnicities that you're popping up. You're saying, hey, we're going to have a community of all different kinds of people instead of a homogenous group of people. Unfortunately, what we see in some of these DEI spaces is it is homogenous. It's not actually diverse. So you might have a bunch of people of different ethnicities, but they all believe the same thing. Well, that's not diversity. Diversity means a diversity of opinion as well.
Diversity of opinion, but no. Okay, well, no. So here's the thing.
So the point is, let me finish the rest of it. So diversity means that you have a diversity of different things. You can have different cultures, different religions, different ideas. All of these things are presented, and it's not just an echo chamber of one kind of narrative. That's diversity. Equity means that it's kind of basically it's a deeper position than equality. It means that everybody gets what they need in order to succeed. So, for example, you have people who are unhoused or homeless. They don't have resources. They don't have food. And a lot of these people might have mental health issues. I think that's our crisis in general with the unhoused population is people have serious mental issues that are not being engaged.
Mental health issues and serious drug addiction.
All of that. I agree.
Both of them, no, it is overwhelming now. No.
So equity means that you help people in those spaces get what they need in order to meet what you can call Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whether they have shelter, they have food, they have resources. So equity is basically saying, hey, we're going to give people the things that they need in order to survive, right? I don't think this is an inhuman type of thing. Certain people do need resources, and they can't.
Okay. Let's stop right there. Here's what I think. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So this is where we go with the harm
Sorry.
reduction. This is the
Forgive me. 1,000 apologies, Rad. But before you continue, I think this might be a good time. If I don't know if you caught it, but what is it? Small Clips Apologetics. Put a comment up there. It might be a perfect time.
So I noticed you published it in the private. Yeah. I can't do that. Publish it. Did you publish it in the public? You got to publish it.
Yeah. He's got it in the public. Okay.
Where is it? Publish it again. I can't.
You got to scroll up. My apologies, but I think this is a good time to show.
Okay. Well, can you republish it again? Because there's like a lot of stuff, and I don't need to scroll. You know what I mean? Just if you can recopy and paste, and I'll watch it. But anyway, so here's the thing, Lisa. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. So here's the thing. This is when we go with the harm reduction.
Yes.
Okay? All right. So the harm reduction is just like, let's give them the booty bump kits. You know what the booty bump kit is? Have you ever heard of this?
I've never heard of that.
Okay. No, this is taxpayer funded. This is literally being handed out. Okay. In Seattle, in New York, in Pennsylvania. By the way, you got to go to Kensington Street with the GoPro and just give us the view.
When I have
when do a live stream.
2 jobs.
What's it?
I'm working like nonstop. I go to school and I have 2 jobs too.
Well, stop going into school. I'm only saying get one job. But anyway,
go ahead.
Anyway. Okay. So what this is, and I can show you where it says, okay, your veins are all dried up. You can't shoot up, and smoking is no longer an option for you. Try the booty bump kit, and it gives instruction how to put your fentanyl, your heroin, your whatever in this little butt plug thing and shove it up your butt so you can get out, because it is a safer alternative than injecting a needle. It's called the booty bump clip.
So the issue that I hear that some people need safe injection sites. So some people are in serious and Unfortunately, we have not allocated resources in the best way to serve our community.
Wait, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet, Issa. I'm not done yet. Sorry, no, dude. I touched my earbud, and all of a sudden I triggered an Amazon movie that I was watching. But no, anyway. Yeah, I had to pause it. Okay. So you got this is being handed out taxpayer expense, the booty bump kits. But no, this harm reduction, where they're just handing out the safe injection sites. Yes, you can come in, you bring your needle, the needle that we supply you with, because we are supplying clean needles, but the needle we supply you with, okay, all right, and you bring your own heroin. Well, actually, no, not actually. In some cases, they actually supply in Vancouver, pilot project. Okay, just saying. Okay, but anyway, okay, so you come in.
Why do you think they do that, though? Don't you think that they do it because these people are in heavy-duty addiction, and if they don't, they're going to go through a withdrawal, and it could lead to death? I don't.
Okay, well, this is don't. See, you're falling for it. You're falling for it. You're falling for it. Hold on. No.
Falling for
what I am saying is this.
Go ahead.
This harm reduction is harm incursion. Machiavelli, read Machiavelli. You give mercy to one, and you give punishment to the many. It is better to be cruel or loved. Okay, chapter 9, I believe, Machiavelli. In other words, if you give mercy to a murderer who's going out and committing murder, you have now just committed harm to the vast majority of people. This is what he's saying. And this is where you create mayhem. You create constant thing. What I am saying is this. This should be a life sentence. A life sentence. I sentence you to life of sobriety, to life of living. Here is your alternative.
But don't you think you need a mechanism? Because
that's what I'm saying. Yes, we do.
No, I agree. Like, I think we want to help people to live a healthy life. Like, no, I agree with that. But I mean, that's going to cost resources, and I think we have them.
No.
Because
that's the thing. We're not spending those resources on this. We're just saying, here's your drugs, here's your heroin. Go out and shoot it. Go out and shoot it in public. Smoke it in public. Smoke it on a bus. Do whatever. There are bus drivers in Seattle. And well, Seattle's actually dialing it back. They're like, this whole legalizing, we're not going to do this anymore. But no, the bus driver is saying, oh my God, I'm denied. But go ahead. Sorry.
So I hear what you're saying, and I understand it. It's like I'm finishing my program in social work right now. It's been really grueling. It's a lot of work and it's hard. But the thing is, you learn a lot. There's a lot of stuff because I'm interested in macro and meso levels of social work. So this is like making policies that help serve our community. And the way that we do this is we need to work smarter, not harder. Getting money doesn't just help. Just throwing money at something isn't going to solve it.
That's the scam. It's the grip.
You can use less money and be more efficient with it. Now, the thing is, people are paying boku bucks for taxes. Where are these taxes going? Well, both the Republicans and Democrats are pretty incompetent with the money. They're getting the money.
I agree.
They're not actually using the money for the people. A lot of them are pocketing the money. A lot of them are career politicians. They keep running and running and running and running. And I'm like, what are you actually doing for your constituents? Not much. All you do is just empty rhetoric. Like I've read the books. I read the briefs of the Democrats and Republicans. Neither of them are impressive. One is says nice things. Like the Democrats, they're saying these nice things about helping the environment. The other, I read the Republican one. I'm like, this is just crazy talk. They're like, we believe in God's green earth. I'm like, dude, what are you going to do for the people? Great, I get you're a person of faith. I don't want you to pander. That's pandering. You're pandering to religious people. You're not actually doing anything for the people. That's ridiculous. You know, you're like, it's just a bunch of eco-terrorists and liberals. And I'm like, that's nice rhetoric that you're trying to pull out to get your constituents, but you're not actually doing anything for your constituents. You were elected to do stuff for your people. Do something. Don't talk.
Well, no. So no, that's the thing. You talk to Marjorie Taylor Greene. You can even talk to Matt Gaetz. Whatever, they've done interviews. Actually, all other things. They spend most of their time raising money.
It's disgusting
for their party. That's all they do.
It's
just
disgusting.
whoever brings the most money gets elevated. No, and I agree with you on that. But here's the thing. Let's get back to this, dude. Okay, so here's what happened. You asked about the money. Here's what happens. They give these billions of dollars in grants. Okay, and every city, every county, every state. Okay, so let's say they give $500 billion to combat addiction or homelessness, whatever.
Right.
Every city, every county, okay, lobbies for that, and depending on their congressman brings home the bacon. It is earmarked. They get a certain cut, okay, of the deal. So they get So Seattle or Washington, whatever, they get or Oregon, they get this amount of money cut out, of the federal money. Now, there's also state money that is being raised as well. So it all gets thrown in a pile. So now, all of a sudden, they got this money. What are they going to do with it? It's to battle addiction and homelessness. So what are we going to do? Introduce the NGO. Boom! Non-government organization. The nonprofit. Nonprofit steps in and says, hey, listen, I got board members that are making multiple six figures. Okay, there's only 6 of us. Okay, whatever. But we will take your money because guess what? My congressman, that I am going to take some of this money and I am going to give it as a donation legally to this congressman. Or I am going to host a party with this money, a fundraising event for this congressman or this senator from this party. And that's where the money goes to. It's a cyclical thing, dude. The money doesn't go to anything. No, whatever. They'll give you booty bump kits. They'll give you free injection sites. Do you see what I'm saying? But they won't know. The money goes into the party. Are you still there? Did I lose you?
I'm with you, bro. No, I'm listening to you. I just put myself on mute. But I was just saying... No, I hear that, and there's problems. So the point is, we can't put a Band-Aid on a gushing wound. We need better solutions. And this is the problem.
Dude, this Issa.
Rhetoric, and they don't actually do good solutions. So
Issa, this is why I message you. Remember, I message you because I do volunteer. Well, I haven't in a while, in like a year.
I do it all.
I volunteer at homeless shelters.
Me too.
Okay. And I encounter these people. Honestly, if you want to help a homeless person, just talk to them. Now, don't get me wrong, this could be very dangerous. You could be total psychotic, okay? But if the dude is cool, just talk to him. Just listen. They will tell you. Just thank you for talking to me. Just thank you for acknowledging me as a person. It's like, okay.
I
really
agree with you 100%. I wanted to finish the point that I did.
Well, hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. I had to interrupt you on this. Okay. But point being is this. Remember I told you about my crazy screen with the mushroom thing? Okay?
Okay.
Don't. Seriously, you can get that grant money. You have the credentials. We can get a grant money, and I can supply you with the spores totally legally.
You're funny.
I can grow mushrooms. No, I'm not funny. Well, I am funny.
You are funny.
No, it can be done.
You can be serious and funny at the same time. They aren't usually.
Yes. But no, seriously, we can do this because you have the credentials. You can get the federal grant money. We can do this. We can make it real change. We take these heroin addicts that they want to get off of it, the fentanyl addicts. We dose them. I will babysit them, okay, because I am a professional mushroom writer from back in the day.
Lord have mercy.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, Lord have mercy.
No, I used to do like popcorn. I'm just saying, I can tell you stories. Anyway, dude, we ride it out and we get them off the crap, and it is proven like a 75% effect. You know what I mean? No, seriously. We get them off of this poison and get them up to 100% natural mushrooms. But no, because mushrooms are not addictive.
I hear what you're saying. I wanted to go.
But wait, finish the point. Okay, go ahead.
So the point that I was going back, because I didn't finish, I was explaining about DEI. So I was saying that diversity is actually having a diverse space. It's not about an echo chamber. And that's your critique. Your problem with diversity, equity, inclusion is it's an echo chamber. It's not actually diversity. It's non-diversity. And that's the problem. It's like a double speak in 1984, where it's saying one thing, but it's actually the opposite of what's being stated. So real diversity means an open space of different opinions, different thoughts, different people. Right. Equity
100%.
Basically making sure that everyone have the right and to have opportunities, and they have the right to have justice, to having access to resources. And this is all people. This is not
actually no. Stop. Kamala Harris explained equity. Kamala Harris says that okay, that's fine if we give everybody equal access and equal opportunity to everything, which is great, which is what we have actually. Okay, all right, okay, but she's got a whole video of it. But some people start out a mile. She actually does it as a race. Start out a mile, and it's a black person, clearly, obviously, because it has to be. Start out a mile behind the other people that are given the access of equity. So, or equality, not equity, equality. So what equity is we shorten the distance. We make the starting line equal to them. In other words, let me put it to you this way. I am 5'8". I am like 290 pounds out. Yes, I'm losing weight. Okay, I'm obese. I was down to 230 before the pandemic, and I ain't that. But anyway, okay. So that means I could go apply to the Chicago Bulls basketball team, and they will need to make me a ladder. Okay, and they need to slow everything down because I can't run as fast, But either way, they need to give me equity, give me the opportunity to slam dunk that basketball and be a member of the team. That makes no sense.
So that's not
what but that is what Kamala Harris has explained to me.
I know,
and that is I understand what you say it is, but what I am saying is what is being taught, and what I am saying is this: it is communism. Because what equity is...
Okay.
No, what equity is... Hold on. What equity is... Again, I can show you the videos of them saying it. Equity is anti-capitalism. Equity is no private property. Equity, okay, is... No, seriously, you will own nothing and you will be happy. They actually say this.
Well, but
equity... equity is a public kitchen. You will not even have a kitchen. You will sit there and you will live in your home or your apartment that they allocate you.
Sure.
Okay, and you will go to the commissar, the common deli, and you will get your food.
I want to engage several points here, and I didn't get to inclusion yet. I'm trying to finish the point, and that was the thing. I have very strong feelings about this. So what I was going to say, to finish it up and just wrap it up in a nice bow, is equity is about getting people to make sure that everyone is able to survive and make it in our society. So some people need to have resources, and guess what? There are a lot of people in the Appalachian Mountains that are struggling, and they need to have access to these resources, and they've been denied for a very, very long time, and it's unfortunate and it's awful. And I think we can't do race wars. This is a ridiculous type of situation. I think that's inconsiderate and doesn't actually produce equity. Equity, and this point is you brought up communism. So first and foremost, communism isn't necessarily following what Karl Marx said communism was. Karl Marx was a philosopher, okay? He was not a statesman. He was not promoting, he wasn't engaging a state's philosophical background. What we see in practice communism is actually a hyper form of capitalism, where basically you have it's an oligarchy, where you have a small group of people controlling all the resources and a bunch of people who are equally poor. That's what it is. It actually is a form of an ancient...
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. I agree with you to a certain extent, okay, regarding Marxism. No, because what this shit is called queer Marxism. Okay, it's Marxism that's given gain function like COVID and has been spotted on this. No, but no, seriously, queer Marxism, it actually is a thing. Queer Marxism is really a thing. The point of queer Marxism is there are no genders. There's not, everything is the same. It's a flat line. It's basically on the quantum level.
You brought up the commissar, so everything can't be the same. If the commissar is different than the rest of the people, then clearly there's a difference. And I want to say one last thing.
No, hold on. Okay, go say one last thing.
I want to add the last thing about inclusion because I wanted to finish the DEI portion.
Okay,
so inclusion means that you're able to include everybody. So including means that people who voices are not heard, you allow those voices, you bring those voices in. So I mean, like if we're being honest with inclusion, it's not just, hey, I'm going to bring in people of color's voices in. You know, it would be bringing evangelical Christians' voices in. You can't just say, hey, I get to prop up certain voices and I deny others, because if that's the case, then you're not actually being inclusive. So DEI is actually a good thing, but the problem with it is that people have co-opted DEI and they have used it as a way of promoting their own echo chamber politics, where they're like, well, anybody who agrees with me is DEI. Anybody who doesn't agree with me is not and is a hater. Well, I'm like, then you're not really doing DEI. You're being exclusive. You're being exclusive, non-diverse, xenophobic, and being inequitable. You're being xenophobic, inequitable, and what was the last thing? And non-inclusive. So I'm like, you can't claim your DEI when you're saying, okay, the person who is, let's say, a right-wing fundamentalist Christian, and you're saying, well, you can't come in because you're a hater. Well, then you're not being inclusive. You have to listen to the right-wing Christian. The right-wing Christian needs to be a part of the conversation too, you know?
Okay, yeah. So okay, let me respond real quick. So, well, just to rejoin. So when I said commissary, I meant commissary. I meant like a public cafeteria, okay? This is what they want. This is what they teach. They honestly sit there and say, okay, you will not even cook. You don't need to cook. You don't need to cook. You will just go down to the cafeteria and you will have all your food. Anything you want, it will be given to you. No, seriously, this is what they're teaching in university level. Okay. But anyway, okay, so my point is this, okay. You say DEI has been co-opted by these people. I would say no. Okay, I would say that DEI, okay, as it is, or critical race theory, it's now called something else, or any of this thing, is all communism. It's all Marxism, all queer Marxism. So Marxism, if you read the Communist Manifesto, he actually sits there. I did. And no, well, I have too, obviously. I've also read Das Kapital. Oh my God, I got to redo Das Kapital.
Yeah,
okay, because I got to redo that. I haven't done. I'm still struggling through Mein Kampf right now. Okay, but anyway,
rough book. That was horrible. I mean, it's just a bunch of crap.
Yes, it is.
Ranting,
yes.
It's ranting and raving. The first pages, I'm like, this is horrible writing.
That's what I'm struggling with. Okay, but be that as it may. Okay. Anyway, so Marx. Actually, you all should read. Every one of us who is listening to this, you should read or listen to. Okay, the Communist Manifesto. It literally is only like 47 pages length. It will take you like 57 minutes of listening time, or an hour and a half to read it. Okay, all right. But anyway, so again, he says very clearly in the Communist Manifesto, when we talk about capitalism, let us be clear, we are talking about private property. And no, this is the fundamental core of Marxism, the abolishment of private property. Now, what is private property? Private property is everything. Private property is the food you eat. Private property is the water you drink. Private property is the job you will do. Private property is parental rights. This is why all these left-wing nut jobs who want to trans all the kids, they're coming out and saying, no, you have no right to your children. Yeah, we do. Okay? But either way, it is the abolishment of private property. Now, here you go. Interject DEI into this. Now, you gave an explanation. Okay. The introduction of different ideas, and I agree with that. But that is not what they are talking about. They are talking about, again, as Kamala Harris explained it, the equity part, okay, is about, okay, giving me a ladder so I can slam dunk. Well, not me, because I'm white. Okay, slam dunk a basketball and I can join the Chicago Bulls team. Okay, no, this is what they're talking about. But throw this into the mix. Okay, with this simply. Okay, when they talk about, if you listen to the lectures, there's two things they talk about, and if you watch Matt Walsh's movie, I haven't seen it yet, but I guarantee you this is going to be missed by a bunch, everyone who watches this movie. There are two things. There are white people and there is whiteness. These are two distinct categories. For instance, a black person that does not sign along with this crap, or a person of color, or whatever you want to define this colorized people with, that does not sign on to this, okay, that disagree with this, they will say you're internalizing your whiteness. And they would talk about the difference between being white and whiteness. What is whiteness?
It's a social construction. Everyone knows this. There's no such thing as whiteness or blackness. These things don't.
This is what I'm getting to. This is what I'm getting to. Whiteness is capitalism. Whiteness is you are a capitalist. No, listen to them. They will tell you that your whiteness, white people invented capitalism. White people, and they use racism as a tool for whiteness. They use racism for a tool for whiteness, for a tool for capitalism. And they use, it is all the whiteness, they say, is capitalism. They have said it over and over again. If you listen to Carlin, she will highlight it. Boom. That's what they said. They actually say it. Whiteness is capitalism. So a black person, they can be a capitalist, but they are now experiencing their whiteness. They're substitute. They're subservient to capital, to the white man's capitalism. Because for some reason, they believe, because they read a bunch of dead white European philosophers. No, seriously. Dead white European philosophers, that somehow these are the race liberators. Do you see what I'm saying? No, it is totally bizarre. But these are the professors. Dude, oh my God. Columbia, dude, Michigan State. Seriously, she goes through all of this, okay, where she gets these lectures. And this is what she's saying. No, this is what they are saying. Whiteness is capitalism. And white people, because we're white, we're inherently racist. There is nothing we can do. And that's the part of Matt Walsh's video that he's going to expose. Okay? And that's the grift. White people just are evil. They're just racist. You can't, there's nothing they can do. No, it's a Chinese struggle. It's a Maoist struggle session. Okay? You see what I'm saying? Okay? But either way, this thing is a poison. Now, what you said, yes, I believe in inclusion ideas, but you cannot associate that, Issa, with DEI. Your ideas are incompatible with DEI because DEI is the exclusion, okay, of independent thought.
So remember
because
what I
guess
said?
what? Because what? No, Issa, you're internalizing your whiteness.
So what I said is it's a co-opting, and I said this is echo chamber politics. So what happens is you have people who are co-opting, and I think Matt Walsh is doing a fair expose where people are co-opting things that are good and then taking them and manipulating, just like the Ministry of Truth from 1984. You use these good concepts and then you manipulate them and turn them into these darker entities. And I think this is a problem. I'm not going to deny that, where I see people saying they take these principles and they say, well, now I'm kind of distorting them and doing it so it's self-serving. For example, if you say you believe in DEI, and then you say, well, then a person has a differing view. Like someone says, I want former President Trump to be president again. And they say, well, how dare you? You're a hater. And I'm like, if you say that, I'm like, then you're not DEI. What you are is you're an echo chamber a grifter that's just saying, well, I like my team and I believe in my own things. And anybody who doesn't think like me is a bad guy. And I'm like, well, what's the difference between you and any other, person who is in their own echo chamber? Nothing. You're not offering anything different than that. And that's where I stand, Brad. Like it's not an impressive feat when I see people do that. And to talk about the Communist Manifesto, what Marx is arguing is that we need to the proletariat needs to own their own capital, which I think is an important thing. I think it is bad that you have these big fat cats who are exploiting people, making a bunch of money off of other people's backs, and they don't give them any stocks in their company. They don't give any fairness to the labor that they produced, and they just basically exploit all these workers. I don't like exploitation. That's one of the problems.
Okay.
We're exploiting people. We're exploiting these immigrants who are coming in. I'm anti-exploitation, so
Well, no. So that actually could be a very good conversation. Okay. Regarding that, because I do agree with you on this. For instance, okay, look what's happening with the whole Green New Deal. Where do you think cobalt comes from? Where do you think nickel comes from? Where do you think these special minerals come from? Okay, to make your green agenda, which is total crap. Okay, where do you think it comes from? To make the windmills, to make everything. You know what I mean? Where do you think it's come from? But they don't care. Okay, that they're enslaving people. Okay, in Africa and in China, whatever. But anyway, no. This is again a continuation of a conversation. Okay, but bottom line is this, dude. Check out Carlin. I'll send you the link to her. Again, she is insufferable. Actually, no. What would be a good idea? Well, I'm on her outs now. Actually, I could get back in, no problem. But no, seriously.
That was funny. I like that.
No, sir. No, she is insufferable. You do not understand. Because I've told her over and over and over again, do not respond to the trolls. Do not respond to the trolls. She just responds. You know what I mean? She's like Sam Shimon on steroids. I've actually said this. You're like Sam Shimon. Okay? You know what I mean?
Do you even know who Sam Shimon is?
No, she doesn't. She has no clue. Okay. But no, seriously, it's just like horrible. Just get, focus. You know what I mean? Because she's got good material and she attacks everyone. Okay? And you know what? She has a right to, because everybody attacks her, but she attacks everyone. So she gives as good as she got. And, but anyway, bottom line is this. She goes undercover. She gets the good stuff. Okay? No, seriously. Infiltrate actual private University of Michigan librarian conference. Live streamed it. Where they're talking about getting all the porn into the school. Okay? The librarian in a public school has a lot of power in shaping young people's minds. Really, it's shocking. Anyway, brother. Anyway, Nicodemus, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't see it.
No, don't worry about it. No. It was just Issa saw it, and nobody else is watching right now, so don't sweat it.
All right,
It's just,
no problem.
yeah.
All right, no problem, dude. Dude, post it later. We'll definitely promote your stuff. It's no problem. Sorry I missed it.
Oh, it's not that.
Anyway,
No, it was somebody else's comments. Yeah.
Anyway, I do got to go, so it was great. The after hours
conversation. I think you and I will always have our dialogue, so we'll definitely go
But
back.
dude, no, seriously, we can do the mushroom thing. You can get the grants. We can get the money. We can do the experiment. And it will be a glorious experiment. I'm serious. I can get you the paperwork to fill out. You just need to fill it out.
Yeah, if I have time, I'll do it. I've been really. I have to get out of my, like, I'm doing so much stuff. Like, my head is above water.
Yeah.
Dude, stop, dude. No, stop. No, just stop. Focus now. Get a job.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Just to Issa, and forgive me. I hope I'm not coming off like I'm picking on you, man. Like, actually, I admire you. I can relate to you for what that's worth. So, but yeah, just this whole whatever.
DEI.
Yeah. Forgive me. I don't mean to be condescending. It's just all my life experiences. I've been through a lot, man. So,
sure.
Yeah. So, long story short, bring it back to Christ, and forgive me for sounding preachy, but I mean that's what it is. That's where it's at. I've got just one question about when it comes to this stuff, the EI thing. What part of that to you screams we're all God's children?
I mean, I think it just depends on how you frame it. I mean, but you can frame it and say, well, if let's say I use a Christian version of DEI, I can say, well, look, you have all these people from all different places of the land, and they're all from different backgrounds, and they're all, from different kinds of classes, and they have equity through Christ, and they're included through Christ. You can do that's a DEI, a Christian version of DEI. There you go.
Yeah, but then that would be your version, and it's not really what it is.
Hey, brother. Hey, brothers.
I've brothers. Narrative, but yeah.
Hey, brother. Seriously, I actually have to go. Sorry, close this.
All right.
Yeah, no. Save that question. I'm sure Issa will be glad to answer that. But no, Issa, seriously, we got to do this again.
We'll talk. I love this.
All right, brother.
Sorry I couldn't be
all right,
brother. I was trying to do as much as I can, but you know me. I do a billion things at once, so.
Dude, all right, brother. All right, I'll talk to you guys. Hey, you brothers, I'll talk to you guys later. Good night. God bless.
All right, peace of blessing. God bless.
God bless.
See, this